All right, guys, welcome back to Sports Card Culture Podcast number 7.
Happy to be here.
It is December 8th, coming up into the Christmas season, and excited to talk about a couple things. First, though, before we get into the awesome topics today, I want to ask anyone who's listening, if you haven't yet, do us a huge favor and hit that subscribe button. We're looking to try to get to 1,000 subscribers so that we can go live on YouTube and give you guys a bunch of content in the middle of shows. You know, whether we're buying collections, people that come into the shop, we can do a whole bunch of things if we get to that number.
And let me add, like, the big long-term, long far away with the going live is going live on the trip down to the National.
Yep.
And going live at the National every night.
Yep.
And by the way, I want to add something. I was talking to somebody, maybe Steve. What up, Steve?
Mm-hmm.
And what if we get, like, Dr. Beckett to come on the podcast?
Yeah, I'd love it.
And then you could ask him questions in the feed. Like,
I mean, the opportunity for us to go live with, like, celebrities, like former athletes, people that you see at the National, and also collectors and other dealers would be
absolutely
phenomenal. Like, the amount of content we can get you guys spur of the moment. Even, like, we have some guys who come into our shop who they might come once every 2 months, so we can't get them to the podcast.
Right.
But if we have the ability to go live on YouTube, that'd be phenomenal.
Pretty awesome.
Hit that subscribe, send it to your friends. Hopefully this is you guys are enjoying this. So
I want to start out with the Sports Culture Culture Podcast Special Edition, Christmas trees. Are you still at 40%?
Yeah, we're still up. This weekend was a little bit slower. The weather's been really good, though, so I see us continuing on. A lot of other farms are sold out already.
Wow.
So my brother's down in St. Paul, and he was saying that most of the other lots in his area within about 10 miles are already sold out.
Wow.
So he's seeing a huge increase. Northfield, I got some calls the other day from like Red Wing, Mankato, southern cities where they can't
Would
find
you ever
trees
consider
anymore.
just selling to the other lots? Guys over the lot? Do you have enough trees or not?
No, we don't have enough trees. We're going to be sold out probably a week early anyway, so we're just going to sell out.
Oh,
here.
you're going to have a lot of time for the card shop. This is how we link it back to sports cards. You're going to have more time for the card shop.
And speaking of national holidays, not only is Christmas a national holiday, but last Friday in the sports card world was a national holiday. It was Prism football release day.
Prism football got released.
Literally – so I literally didn't go to the tree lot. And the guys are joking. They're like, "Oh, it must be payday. Clint's here. He's not working at the tree."
Right,
I'm
right.
like, "No, guys. This is Prism release day.
It's
Like,
like
I have to
Madden.
be here for this. I have to.
Madden
It's like
release
Madden
day.
release day. It's like phone calls coming in, people waiting for the UPS guy to drop off the case. I mean, it was bonkers. You know.
All right, so let's talk about Prism football. And so usually Clint and I don't talk very much about what we want to talk about because we really do want this to be the phone call that we would have normally made once a week. And then you get off the phone call and you're like, damn, it's been 2 hours. Like, okay, what up?
Yeah.
So we did talk about how we wanted to start it. We did want to start it with Prism football.
Yeah.
So let's give an overview. $1,000 for a hobby box, $90 to $130 for a blaster.
Yep. We're at 90. Hangers are about 60.
Herbert base cards are 200-ish. Like
Yep.
150 to 250, depending on centering.
Silvers are pushing over 1,000.
1,200, I saw silver.
Yep.
What's going on, Clint?
So we got 32 boxes in Friday, and we are officially already sold out completely of our first
How
batch.
did you get 32 more than me?
5 years of sales.
There you go.
5 years of doing it. So our first year we sold Prism. I remember we sold 2016 Prism, and that was a big year with Zeke, Dak, and Wentz, and I think hobby boxes were $90 to $100 a box that year.
90.
And so to give you guys an idea, and then we went like 2017 with Mahomes. No one cared about Mahomes
Right.
then. They were like maybe $125. We've seen a slow increase, maybe $10, $20. Last year, I want to say they were $300 the first wave, maybe $400.
And I remember seeing
And now we're up to $1,000.
I remember seeing 400 going up nuts.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like Mike and I said, like if we would have thought a 2017 hobby box had a chance to be 6,000 like it is
Right.
now, we would have held some. But like we didn't even think they had potential to be 300-400 because why would they be?
Well, here's the thing. Like, I did look up Mahomes' stats a couple days ago, and yeah, rookie year he threw for 227 yards and a pick.
Yeah.
Super exciting for the
Played-
2017 offseason. You know,
Played
like,
none at all. I didn't even start hearing his name until the National that summer, where some people were buying his stuff, and I'm like, who? I mean, I know his dad. He played for the
Right.
Twins. Like,
Right.
you know, that's about all.
Well, I
know.
remember the 17 National. So I wasn't with you that summer, but I was
Yep.
with you the summer before. And Trubisky was all the rage. Now, part of that is because we were in Chicago.
No, you were there the 17.
No, I was there in 17. I
Yeah,
thought you were
that's
talking about 18. you were hearing about Mahomes in 17 national?
After his rookie year, yep.
No, after the rookie year would be 18. That would be Cleveland.
No, after his. Oh, is that right? Hold
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Okay,
that's
so
right.
when
I'm
is
always
the?
right, Clint.
Okay, so the draft is in the fall. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm a year off.
because I remember people.
No, yeah, you're right. Cleveland, we were hearing about Mahomes. The
Right.
next year, Baker was the
Right.
excitement. Yeah.
And so
Watson,
I remember
too.
Trubisky was all the rage. Now, we were in Chicago, so like that probably had something to do with Trubisky. But no, I didn't hear anything about Mahomes.
Yeah, no, I literally don't remember us. I saw like 100 autos of Mahomes pulled in shop in all the products,
Wow.
and never
Nobody ever
Never
like,
was
lost
one
their
person
mind.
excited. Not only this, let me tell you a funny story about Mike. Mike liked Mahomes early on. He's like,
Yeah.
he had mentioned him to some people. And this is how little people cared about Patrick Mahomes. A customer who's this really, really nice guy that we have who loves giving away cards to people who collect stuff. Mike said something about Mahomes. The guy pulled a Contenders draft pick Mahomes autograph and gave it to Mike for free.
Mike thought that kid.
And I was like, he still has that card, dude.
Isn't
that hilarious?
Yeah, the gift.
It was a gift. It was like a $10 card or whatever, 20. I don't know.
I would say it's probably he's still first round quarterback, so it's probably $30.
Okay, 20, $30.
But no, nothing.
Now he's like, whoops.
Run around the store screaming.
Now it's probably like 1,200 or something low end.
Oh, just 1,200.
Low end. Yeah.
Yeah, low.
Anyway, so Prism football. Yeah, we've never seen anything like this. Now the disappointing part, I know for a lot of people, and we can talk a little bit about this, was I saw the first box I saw opened, all the inserts were way off center to the point where I saw the worst cut of a modern card I've ever seen. It was literally 50-50.
Yeah,
two cards.
I don't know if I saw. Did you post the picture of that?
I didn't. That wasn't the picture of the cards that I'm referring to, but it was another customer. A breaker.
Okay, I saw that photo of 3 cards where, I would say 55-45, but not centering, but literally one card versus a different card.
You were getting half and half, but it was interesting. It was almost primarily all the inserts, so I don't know how their quality
but not
control
like
works.
The base rookie.
The base rookies, I didn't see any cut that bad. I saw some miscut, like where they were OC top to bottom,
Right.
but none of them that were like that bad.
Well, we've also been noticing that some cards they're getting cut big, and I don't even know how that would happen.
Right.
Where they don't fit in one touches.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I've noticed that in previous years that. It's really unfortunate. Well, and let me say this. Part of the reason I know some of you guys listening are like, why is it that I get redemptions in a product?
Yeah.
And so let me talk a little bit about the process of cards. So when a product is getting released, that means Panini has to make the Prism card. If they're not a sticker auto, they have to make the card. They have to mail them to the athlete. Yeah. The athlete has to sign them, mail them back to Panini. Then Panini has to collate them into their packs, seal the boxes, and ship them to distributors, right? So this year, Prism got pushed back twice. I think part of the reason is they wanted autos to be live in the box, not redemptions, right?
Right. I don't think that's why I got pushed, though.
I think that's
I think
always
the second reason is the reason.
It's always one reason they do get pushed. But then the second reason is, the unfortunate part is the quality control, even after it getting pushed, that they allowed that bad a miscut into a box that cost $1,000.
But why did it get? Why is the real reason I got pushed? What's the biggest reason why?
I think financially they want it to be released.
No.
Not on top of another product.
It's COVID. All the factories shut down for 6 weeks. Everything got pushed back, and so some stuff came out on time, but that means there's a massive bottleneck in printing. You can't maintain that schedule.
Yeah, no, I think COVID plays part of it, but I'll say this. Long before COVID, we saw this where distributors did their customers, i.e. you and I, retail stores, hobby shops, a favor by trying not to stack product on top of product. In other words, giving you time where, like, they did this for basketball where, like, I remember in Luka's year, it was scheduled for, like, NT to come out and then the next week to be flawless. It's like...
Yeah, you can't do that.
NT is like a $200 million product or $300 million for the whole supply to be sold. Like, the economy just can't support, the hobby can't support those in back-to-back weeks. Right. So I think they spread out like a month.
No, and I agree that
and Phoenix and some of those other ones.
That has something to do with it, but like we're seeing this with Pokemon is like they're already printing the February product. And they're reprinting all the. There's just not enough capacity if you shut down for.
Well, and I'll talk about something else I saw. One of the coolest boxes I saw was actually an error. One of our customers opened a pack, one single hobby pack. So each box has 12 packs. There's 2 autos per box. Previous years there's been 3. 18 there was 3. This year it's 2. And in one pack he pulled both a Tua silver auto and a Herbert purple auto, and they weren't.
That's nuts.
And normally they flip the auto, but this one the autos were flipped facing each other, stacked on top of each other. They were kissing, yeah. Which is never a good thing for two autos because you can get ink smearing and you can get ink, all sorts of issues.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, what an amazing error. How often does it happen in the other direction where I saw a guy open a $1,000 box and one of his autos was Panini points, which is
Like how many Panini points?
Like
250?
600. But
Yeah,
still,
600 is not great.
600 is like $25. You know, it's like,
and you don't even have a chance of putting that in your stash box and hoping that you have the Panini points have the great season.
And you can't grade it and have it go up in value. You know, I mean, so like he pulled that and I was like, woof. Now it's fun when you see a customer get it in their favor. They get two autos, 3 autos in a box. They should have only got
Well,
two.
let me ask you. I know I want to talk about football Prism for a while, but I just thought of this. How, like, when people get killed, I feel that hurt within me.
Crushed on a box,
Yeah, they get crushed on a box. I feel that. I feel so uncomfortable. I feel so bad for them.
Yep.
And I'd like to stop it feeling so bad because, like, I didn't have anything to do with it. But, like, it was my boss. I told them they got killed. And
let me ask you a question. Would you feel the same way if you worked at a gas station and sold lottery tickets or scratch-offs?
No. I don't know why.
Because literally – people need to understand that's what they're doing.
Right, absolutely.
And one person who gets a really big hit, all those people who struck out are essentially paying for. I mean, it's it's a disproportionate.
Some of it too is like if you bought Prism football for $90 a box and you just got crushed on the box, you're getting $50 back.
Yeah.
$40. Yeah, it's $40.
Yeah, the markup.
You open a $1,000 box and you get crushed and you get $200. I'm just like, damn, that's a mortgage payment, yo.
Yeah.
Like,
guys were joking online. They're like, I gotta sell a kidney or I gotta get a second mortgage to pay for a box.
But are you able to like kind of separate yourself from people getting nailed on stuff in the shop?
Yeah,
or do you feel it?
Well, I'll say this much. I feel it more for the guy who buys one box a year and gets crushed versus like a lot of our regular customers. I've seen them crush other boxes. Like, for example, on Friday, I saw a guy open a Prism football box. He pulled like a base Burrow and he pulled a silver auto of a like second tier receiver. I can't remember who it was. But then he opened the same trip. He opened a Mosaic T-Mall, which for those guys listening, that's an exclusive. So T-Mall is the distributor in China that distributes sports cards, and they have a couple products that are released specifically there.
Right.
And they have parallels that are exclusive. So Mosaic, you got a gold wave and a red wave.
You have to order that on the website, right?
You have to order them there, and we actually have a gentleman who gets them shipped over from Asia. He brings them into us. We sell them. So I actually got a phone call, and I bought 5 boxes that day. Well, he opened one of those, and he pulled a red. It was either a red or a gold. I think it was a red wave jaw. And he crushed that box. Yeah. And he struck out on the Prism box. And I would say overall on those 2 boxes, he lost much less because, the second good box.
I suppose you're probably right.
And I can remember the cards that this guy specifically has pulled over there, and he pulled a Zion Silver that got a 10, and he's pulled a ton of monster. He pulled a gold vinyl Prism Brady, and
I think that's a good point.
That helps.
I do have some customers who open a lot and they've got a lot of good hits. I don't feel as bad for them. I'm like, man, that sucks.
You're like, this box wasn't the one, but you've had
right.
And actually, one of the ways you actually, if you're gonna rip boxes, one of the ways you minimize your risk is actually to open a whole case. So like I've had guys who come in, they go like, if you buy one box here, like, and you don't get the case card. Like, the good thing about buying a case is you're generally going to get the case card, which is going to make up for the boxes that weren't as good. So it's actually counterintuitive. You're spending more money, but you're minimizing your risk.
Well, but your gains aren't as high.
Right.
So it works out both ways now.
Risk and reward go down, right? Yep, because you're getting more cards that equal more rookies. And
so here's the back to Prism, even though we were kind of talking about Prism. So I had thought. And, of course, because my allocation was low, as in 0.
Yep.
So I've thought one blaster get open, that's it, right?
Yep.
So have you, how should I say this? Have you noticed that the people are pulling more color in the boxes that they get or the same as previous years? I'm getting somewhere with this.
I think it's about the same.
You think it's about the same?
Now, let me say this. Of the 32 boxes we sold between Friday and we sold our last box today, I think I only saw 3 of them opened in the store.
Okay,
Multiple of them were sold to breakers who broke them online.
right.
You know,
So this is what I'm getting at, and I suppose you could watch Breakers and see.
yeah.
Is there a chance that Panini, because of the time crunch and the bottleneck, that they made less base cards? I mean, in theory, you're making the same number of parallels
Yep.
because the parallels are a defined quantity,
Sure.
but they didn't have enough time to make the same number of base cards, and then we would know that because you would get more color per box. You'd be like, why am I getting all this color? There's potential that the production of boxes.
I know
went
there
down
was
even
at
though the
least. I know
color-
that. So last year the box was actually advertised that it had 12 parallels, and that
Yeah,
includes silvers,
okay.
which are not numbered. They're color. I mean, they're not
right.
base. So it was basically one per pack. That's about what I noticed this year. Now let me say this. One disappointing thing I know some people mentioned was, and I think this is related to COVID more so than the time crunch.
Okay.
A lot of the rookies who are not big stars, I don't know if you noticed, they were all in their draft combine photos.
Yeah, I've noticed that in.
So they're running like the 40, which
absolutely.
so other than like, you know, your Herbert, your Burrow, those guys, they did the work to get them in their
Right.
pro gear in a good photo. Because part of it is you don't realize is
like that too. Yeah.
so Mike every year we get invited to the rookie premiere that Panini puts on in California. And they bring in all the rookies, and they get them in their pro gear, and they take hundreds of photos that
And
they're
they
going to
sign a lot of
and
autographs.
they sign a lot of autographs, and those are the photos they use on all these cards, right?
Right.
Well, they couldn't do that this year because of COVID.
Oh, fair
and
enough.
so they're searching for photos, which I don't know. I still don't know for photographers and stuff how many are allowed in games to get photos for Panini and kind of that whole
what
process.
they're likely doing, like Herbert,
Yep.
they're taking a college photo. I'm gonna
Yep.
guarantee you could find the exact photo in the college uniform. They're
yeah.
airbrushing it.
Yeah, which they're getting better at it because like back in the day when they
Or you can really
airbrushed,
tell.
they airbrush Moss and stuff, like his shoulder pads were like wide. And you're like, wait, no, you're not supposed to like add to the size of the player with the airbrushing, you know.
Right. So I mean, they're definitely. I mean, I can't say I know that 100%, but I know 99%. They took a college picture, airbrushed it. They're really good at it. And but then they're like, am I really gonna do that for a defensive tackle?
Right.
Who got
No, they're
drafted
not.
in fourth round?
Now
No.
the nice thing about Prism, I'll say this much. So think back to like 2016 when Adam Thielen was a rookie.
Right.
He only has 2 rookie cards. He's only in 2 sets. Contenders, he has an autograph.
Yeah.
And Select, he has a rookie, which Select is released later than Prism.
Right.
So the nice thing about Prism this year I noticed is there's a lot of guys who haven't been in previous products as rookies. They were
Right.
later picks. That could turn out to be a
be a
blessing
big
because
deal.
like for example, Tom Brady is not in
Correct.
2,000 tops.
But here's the
He's
thing,
in Bowman,
though, right
but he's
now,
not in tops.
Right now, though, it's a double-edged sword.
It's a
'cause
double-edged
right now,
sword, right.
You paid $1,000 per box,
And
and I
you're
got this
pissed.
rookie free agent.
Yes. But if you opened a contenders box in 16 and you got a Thielen auto and you sat on it, you're like, who's this guy?
Or you got
You
a
were-
Brady in 2000.
Exactly. You were really happy later on. So the bigger auto sets, like contenders,
Right.
contenders is known to be the biggest. They
Right.
put guys that literally don't have an
Yeah,
autograph
right.
and anything else. And they do that for that exact reason.
I
Because
tell,
they don't know
I
the
tell
future.
customers all the time, they're like, rookie free agent. I'm like, don't get rid of that card.
No.
I said, wait till
It's
he's,
worth nothing now.
I'm
Why?
like, wait till
yeah.
he's 28,
Yep.
and then you can get rid of it because your downside is 0.
0.
So,
I mean,
What-
I can
what are we doing?
literally think of quarterbacks. A couple of them. Joe
well,
Flacco.
Kurt
like Warner. Obviously Brady.
Flacco was,
He was-
like a second rounder.
No, he was
Yeah,
later
he
than
was.
that. Really?
Yeah, he was. He was a high. He was a high
Out
pick.
of what, New Hampshire?
Yeah,
He was out of a really
a high
small school.
pick.
Are
He
you
might have
sure
been a
he's
first rounder.
No, he was not a first rounder. I'll put money on that.
Hey, $5 he was drafted in top 3 rounds.
Oh, I thought you said first round.
No, I did, but
Okay, he actually was first rounder. Wow.
Hedgeman-
Wow,
damn.
you could have made some money.
it.
Delaware.
Damn
Thank
it.
you. Who was I thinking of that was a really,
well,
really
Kurt
late pick that
Warner.
ended up?
Kurt Warner didn't have a. He has a
He has a
couple of
contenders,
things.
which
That-
obviously
right,
his
right.
contenders auto is a big deal.
You know,
because
but
of- yeah.
now this wouldn't be in modern cards, but John Randall, the Hall of Famer,
Oh.
who's a free agent.
Tony Romo. I mean,
Tony Romo
Was
Adam
undrafted, right?
Thielen.
Yeah.
So,
So,
I mean, there's
yeah.
lots of guys who were Hall of Famers.
Yep.
Not Romo, but
you said John Randall, right? Yeah,
John Randall,
Yeah,
right.
Division II. You know, I mean,
Then you said Romo.
Jerry Rice was out of obviously a super small school. You know, I mean, Michael
yeah, but
Irvin, a lot of
wasn't
those guys.
he was drafted
He-
by like 6th round.
Yeah, but he was
something like
drafted
that,
late.
yeah.
So and that's a good point. To those of you guys collecting that you guys open boxes, I'm not opposed to like, hey, a lot of times people are like, hey, I want to sell all my commons, all my low end
Right.
stuff to lower my cost basis. I'll hold on to my stars.
buy that.
I think sometimes it's the opposite. Like I would be selling Herbert with his excitement, and I would actually be holding all these quarterbacks who aren't playing yet,
Right.
hoping that there's a Mahomes or Jacob Eason becomes, the next best thing.
And last podcast we talked
Yeah.
about selling Herbert now and reacquiring in the offseason anyway.
And so, like, all these guys who their auto is like, you're going to get $5 for it. Is it even worth selling, right? I mean,
$2
or,
for it,
or
no.
two, well, at a Prism, you should be getting
Well,
more than that.
Prism, yeah.
So, to the point, the Prism prices we're seeing right now, a lot of why we're seeing such a huge inflation is, like, I just looked this up today because I had a customer call who's like, hey, I just found this Patrick Mahomes Prism rookie.
Uh-huh.
And I looked him up, and a raw Mahomes rookie is selling for, like, $800 to $1,500, depending
Right.
on how centered it is. That card you could have bought prior to the season in PSA 9 for like $500-$600.
Well, here's what's happening though, and I've explained this to customers. How should I say this? So you're right. The price of the box is high because they're looking at a Romo. I'm crossing sports here. They're looking at Giannis. They're looking at whatever monster value card.
Romo?
Giannis.
No, you said Romo.
I said I'm crossing
Oh,
sports.
got it.
Yeah.
I'm like,
We'll listen to tape
like,
back. I did not say Romo.
Tony Romo.
No,
Holy
but
cow,
but
this
Giannis,
guy's-
Luca, what
Yeah,
have
Luka,
you. So
yeah.
they're monsters. But here's where the market is silly. This is
Yeah.
why they're $1,000 a box. They shouldn't be $1,000 a box because what's happening is everybody's taking every rookie
Yep.
and saying, what if they become Mahomes? What if they become Ezekiel Elliott? What if,
Right.
But every rookie is getting that treatment,
And you
and
shouldn't
they're
be.
pricing that all in the unopened wax.
It's all the prospecting.
And that's
yeah.
telling me that wax price is not even close to what it should
Let
be.
me ask you, what do you think, without the inflation of the boom, what do you think these boxes are worth?
Say that
Like,
in
what
a
should
different
be-
way. The boom and
Okay, so
single
okay,
prices, the boom and wax.
I'll say wax. I'll say it in the way the investors say it. Like
Okay.
regularly, you can look up a stock, and the experts will say, "We believe that
Yes.
this stock should be this price," even though right now you have, like for example, like Tesla and stuff. You see this excitement about the potential,
Right.
and it's already priced into the stock,
Right.
and it's
That's
not
bad.
worth it yet.
And that's a bad
Right, It's a
thing,
bad
yeah.
thing. In other words, you're paying an inflated price, right?
And I mean, I think there's a really good draft class this year, much like basketball last year.
Yep.
Um,
There's a lot of good receivers.
which is messing stuff up, right?
Yep.
Because that's not only making so the hobby is pushing the prices up.
Yep.
Okay, fair enough.
Yep.
But then there happen to be really good rookie classes in basketball,
Yep.
baseball
Yep.
as a crazy rookie class,
Yep.
and now football this year, which I did not think was going to be a
to be
good
honest,
rookie class.
and
But there's like nine
but
wide
let me tell you
receivers.
something, because now I've seen 16, 17, 18. 19. This is my fifth rookie class where we've owned the shop and sold product for
Right.
the entire season of a sport. And I can't remember a football season, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I can't remember a class where there still wasn't that feel that there's a couple guys in here. You know, like I and I don't know if that's just because every year it's like we want to believe that there's the next
this
best
year,
guy,
there's
or
no Wentz this year. There's no Elliott this
Herbert.
year. No, but Herbert was selling for nothing at the beginning of the year. He's in
Until
my
he
stash
played- until he
box.
played,
Yeah,
yeah,
until
yeah,
he played.
yeah.
So I'm talking like when they got drafted, like we opened a box.
well, no, for sure Burrow, dude. Burrow's
No,
like
Burrow
the most
was.
hyped. He's the most hyped quarterback.
Burrow was, but his,
He's more hyped than any quarterback I can remember, other than maybe. Okay, so let's go through the quarterback. 16, you have
Wentz.
Dak and Wentz, but
Right.
Wentz primarily because he was
and
picked.
Dak was later in the year.
Yep. Well, you had Goff too, though. Goff was
Goff
super
was-
high pick,
Goff was hyped.
right? So then you go 17. You had Trubisky at 2.
Trubisky
you had
was hyped.
Watson later in the round, and then you had Mahomes in between them. But Mahomes, they knew he wasn't going to play.
Yeah, Watson was more hyped than Mahomes.
Watson was way more hyped, right? They won
Yeah.
the national championship, right? Then you go
But
18. Hey,
Watson looked like he was a real thing.
18, you have the Heisman Trophy winner again, Baker Mayfield.
Uh-huh.
And then you have Lamar Jackson, who won the Heisman later
There
in
was
the
so
round.
many questions about both of them, though.
Yeah, but then you also had Josh Allen. You had Josh
There
Rosen.
was
You had
questions
five.
about
You
all
had
those
five pick. I don't know. Josh Allen, actually, I think might be the best quarterback out of that group.
No, he might
right?
be, but what I'm saying is when it came out, nobody was like, "Oh, that guy is the guy in that draft class." There was just a lot of them.
There was a lot of quarterbacks.
It was
So it
99.
was spread out. Yep. And then 99, and then 2019 last year, you had Daniel
Kyler
Jones
Murray.
and Kyler.
And neither one of those. Everybody's ripping on Daniel Jones,
Yeah, they didn't think he
and
was.
then nobody was a believer in Kyler. So there wasn't a monster like
It was
this
more.
is
It was
the
more so
guy.
like some of the running backs, like
I would say
Jacobs.
Wentz. Wentz was probably the last one where it's like, "What's up, Wentz and Burrow?"
Wentz to now Burrow. Yeah.
Right, but then everybody else in the draft class this year. I mean, who were we hyped about?
But
CeeDee Lamb? No, I am now.
Justin Jefferson.
Justin Jefferson? No,
Could
I
be-
am now.
I'll say with this much, if he wins the MVP or the Rookie of the Year, like
that's
what a dark horse. Like,
Oh, right.
You know, I mean.
I mean, they were hyped about him in the sense like, oh, we think this is a really good prospect, whatever.
Yeah.
But the hobby wasn't looking at him like that.
Well, let me say in reference to that, one of the things that's interesting about sports cards is, in the same way that sports cards are disproportionately weighted towards stars,
Yeah,
I also believe one of the things we're seeing with Prism football is the hobby is disproportionately weighted towards a couple products that become
Yes.
the staple investment products.
that's always been the case, though.
It's always been the case, but that's what I'm
Topps
saying.
Chrome was
And-
the
and
flag-
so-
it was
and so
flagship,
I'm saying
really.
this is
Yeah.
flagship Prism,
Standard.
Prism, National Treasures, right?
For high end, yeah.
And then you got like Optic Select or secondary, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like so. Part of what you have here is like if someone's gonna buy, if you were gonna buy an investment card for a quarterback, you'd be buying a Contenders autograph,
Right.
a Prism base, or a National Treasures RPA.
One could argue Optic should be in that conversation.
I think Optic and Select are tier
Optic has
2.
really closed the gap with Prism.
If you look at it,
significantly.
actually, Select is better than Optic.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. As far-
Everybody, well, not
here's-
better, but it's
more val-
lower production.
It's lower production. It's
And it has the same like tier quality.
same tier
to it.
quality, and part of the reason though that Prism and Optic become more popular than Select is because the average person I would love to talk about this topic because I have an interesting story from today, is because you can't walk into Walmart and buy a $20 Select blaster.
No, you
It's
can't.
So that's part of it.
You
too.
can buy Optic, you can buy
Pe-
Prism.
they're not as familiar with it because it's not in retail configurations. It's only hobby shops.
People
so you have to-
advocate the select aspect a lot.
Yeah, and
They're
I
like,
think
this is like way undervalued
I think
versus
s-
production.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you buy a Select base and you actually looked at and were able to figure out how many were made, there's going to be less made than
Right.
Prism, but Prism's still going to outsell it. Just got out of popularity.
Okay, wait.
Yeah.
But why? That doesn't make any sense, Clint.
Yeah, I love it.
That doesn't make any sense at all, does it?
What does it need to? The market's like just
Well,
decide what they want to do because
I
they
don't know.
wanna
I've
do it.
always advocated that
Making sense.
card
is-
collectors are really smart,
Yeah, they
and
make-
if they pay more for things, that means the quality is better, right?
Right, of course, obviously.
Is that true?
Yeah, and I love your sarcasm.
So
Hope you
what,
guys
what,
can-
wait,
I hope you
what,
guys can
what am I
wade through
talking
the
about?
level of
What am I
sarcasm.
talking about?
I mean, you're just talking about what you think I know you've always said that the hobby just doesn't make sense.
No. Last podcast, we were talking about PSA versus SGC. I said SGC grades harder. You advocated because they price in
Oh, thanks.
PSA
Nice.
higher than SGC, that means they're better. Ha!
Okay,
Gotcha.
define better.
Well, higher quality, higher. I was arguing the branding made up for a lot of it. You're like, no.
Okay, so the question is
I'm
then.
right. Or you're wrong this time. Which one?
I
Were
don't
you right
know.
last
I
week or
don't.
you
I
right
don't
this
know if
week?
they quite correlate directly. Like you're.
No, I'm just asking. Were you right last week or are you right this week? Which
Okay,
one?
I'm right. This week. I like the here and the now.
All right,
obviously.
SGC is the harder graded than PSA. You heard it here first.
That's classic. So funny story.
I
Today,
love how I'm going down the line. You had no idea where I was going. Like, wait, what's happening?
like I know I'm getting baited
Getting
here
trapped.
or something. Yeah, you're getting trapped. Thanks, John. It's always fun. So today I had an interesting story. So we got one of our customers got a tip that some Prism was getting stocked.
Oh,
Retail wise, and so they showed up.
Got a tip.
And yeah, I mean you have to get tips now. You have to get inside
think about that
information.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
I got a tip.
I got a tip on where the Prism, the what's the name of the company? Why
Yeah.
Excel. The
Target
Excel
Man.
rep is on the way to Eden Prairie.
They're doing
Target.
it. Oh, yeah. You didn't want to tell me the story. 'cause
Yeah,
you
so
wanted to look for
our
podcast.
customer told us a story that he showed up and they were stocking, and there was literally security, the managers, and I don't know, I can't remember if he said, and I hope I'm not quoting, I think the police might have gotten involved, where literally this rep had been followed by a group of people, numerous locations, to the point where she was.
Do you know if it's multiple cars?
I don't know if it was multiple cars, but it was one individual's for sure that they knew were
Okay.
tipping a bunch of people off of where they're going next. And so she showed up, and it was almost like a mob kind of thing. And
Wow.
she was like uncomfortable with
Yeah.
who gets what.
Is this the tall lady?
I don't.
think?
I didn't ask. I don't know.
Because she was chill.
No idea.
Yeah.
But long story short, the security at Target literally said they created like this line, and they said they let them go through like this gauntlet,
Yeah.
and you could only pick one item,
Right.
like one configuration of one product. So there was like Prism. You could either get a blaster or a hanger or a mega or a different sport, right? And literally they were like waving them through. Like there was 3 or 4 employees involved in this process to like sort out the craziness of sports cards at a Target in the United States today on November 18th, 2020. This is the weirdest.
Wait. Definitely security.
Yes,
Maybe.
But is this even real life? I literally thought I'm like, this is hilarious. But then I started thinking about it. I go, we're in COVID. Like,
Right.
there's people who are struggling economically, whether they lost their job or whatever. Like, there's a significant amount of money being made.
Well, how about this?
Like Evan hustling. This
How
guy's
about
grinding.
this though? Because of COVID, there's nothing to do.
Yeah.
And you can't do Tough Mudder. You
Yeah.
can't go to a football game.
Right.
This is your
You
event.
can't go to a movie?
Your event
Yeah.
is chasing the Excel lady
It's chasing the Excel lady.
and making calls like you're in Grand Theft Auto.
Well, and there's two things that are motivating. I mean, in one sense, like there's some people that are chasing it because they want to rip it, and they
Yeah.
want to rip it cheaper because you can rip a blaster for
Right. Oh,
20,
absolutely.
pull the same silver versus a hobby box for 1,000.
Right.
Then there's people who are chasing it to sell it and make a profit on the flip it. Because I mean, you're buying a $20 box at you're getting a 4 to 5x.
Well, I
markup.
I joined that Pokemon group that my Pokemon crew. What up, Pokemon crew?
What up?
So I joined their group, and I just lurked there. I don't.
Yeah.
I like some stuff, but it's not my group, and I know I'm a visitor, but yeah, they help each other out. They're like, okay, they take pictures of Target.
Yep.
So these are very different than sports card guy, because sports card
Right.
guy would just buy it all.
Right.
But like they're like, oh man, there's still some of this here and some of that. Go get it,
Mm-hmm.
And so they're helping each other out quite a bit. So even on the Pokemon side, they're doing that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. They work together. And I'll tell you another story. This came from, so we had a gentleman, I won't use names, but we had a customer of ours at the shop, and his son was getting ready to go to I think the Minnetonka Target or Walmart.
Yeah.
He also got a tip. You
tip.
you have to have inside information if you have a chance of getting this
So
stuff.
your distributors are getting tips.
And this is where it gets crazy. This
trackers,
is the
trackers.
crazy story. So it's whatever time they open. I think it's 7. Target
Yeah.
opens. Okay, so there's like 5 people waiting
Yes,
at the main
I've
door
heard that one.
at 7. Right. While they're waiting, this is the word I get. The manager comes to like unlock the door, and they're having a problem getting the door unlocked to
Yeah.
let people in, and so it's taking a minute or two. While this is happening, they see 2 guys walk up to another like side door
Yeah.
where the door gets opened. These 2 guys go in, and they're all looking like within like a minute they let them in the main doors.
Right.
They all obviously go right to the sports card section.
No way.
The cards are empty, and they see these two guys going through the self checkout with all the Prism.
Wow.
And so now it's like an inside deal where like somebody
Oh,
working at
absolutely.
Target got paid to let these guys in to get it's just like it's hilarious.
But
Dude.
the
Like,
manager was open. Well, you don't know that it's the manager.
well, it's somebody who has
opening it.
authority to be there
Yeah.
beforehand. I mean,
Yeah,
it's not
but
your
like,
average.
I've worked Kmart. Like I opened that door before.
Okay.
Like I wasn't.
So
anything
you
special.
could, but let me ask you this: if you opened that door while the manager was opening the main door, like you could get
I would've got
fired,
in
right?
trouble.
Yeah, you would have got.
Yeah.
You should.
But
I mean,
so
right?
most likely a key holder was opening the main door. The manager or an assistant is the one that.
Doing the side deal.
Because here's the thing:
Yeah.
the manager usually doesn't open. The manager
Yeah.
comes in later.
Yeah.
And it's probably an ASM.
Well, I mean, think about it. If you're working at Target making $15 an hour and 2 guys come in, and go,
I
hey,
know
we'll-
the manager maybe makes 22.
okay, $22 an hour, and they go, hey, we'll throw you $100, $200
Yeah.
to get us in 3 seconds
Well,
early
but then
or
again,
10 seconds
I mean,
early.
income level. It seems like to me that we're getting a little morality here, but there are certain personalities, regardless of your income, they can be bribed.
Right.
And then there's other personalities who can have the lowest income in the world. You can't bribe them to save your life. So,
Right.
I mean, income may not even be a factor in here.
Sure.
Just-
And actually, I
low
think
moral and high
I'll say
moral.
this much: sometimes the higher your income level, one of the reasons you have a higher income level can be connected to like money isn't your ultimate motivator,
Right,
but
right.
doing the right thing is. And so then all of a sudden it's like you become unbribable, partly because first of all you don't need the money,
Right.
and second of all you live by a standard that's motivated by something more than that.
Or one could argue you're higher income because you're a scumbag who cuts corners and that's how you got ahead. So,
well, and interesting enough, I actually got a phone call this week from a customer who's like, hey, I'm trying to figure out the value of my collection. Tell me why I should trust you. And I literally got to have the conversation. I told her, I said, as a Christian.
I would have started out with you shouldn't.
No, I started out with, I'll just tell you what motivates me in business. I said, as a Christian, my desire to please God, to love people, to do unto others as I would want them to do unto me, is a greater motivator than making money. And because of that, we've actually had the opportunity to make money and do that at the same time. And we're not compromising.
You know what's funny is that literally came up this week with a customer. I'm chatting with a customer, and he had said that it's a common line, do unto others.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I don't live by that credo at all. And he looked at me like, when have you ever heard somebody like, nah, I reject that?
I just reject it.
Well, I reject it because the amount of abuse that I can take from people, I wouldn't wish on anybody else.
Yeah, but that's not what it's saying.
I don't treat people the way I'm willing to be treated. I treat people way better than I'm willing to be treated.
But the reference there is do unto others as you would want them to do. Not what you would tolerate. In other words, I
don't care if people go after me. Like, that's cool. Like, I like to fight.
Yeah, you're the rare case, John. You like.
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind the conflict because when I get into this is good sports card talk, but I don't mind having the conflict because you tend to get really good and honest information out of people when they're mad at you.
Sure.
Stuff comes out that would have never came out, and then you're like, oh, that's what you've been thinking.
Well, and actually, as I think about it, some of my most valuable relationships have been those that have stood the test of conflict because you actually valued the relationship enough to like work through that stuff versus like letting that end the relationship.
There's a decent amount.
Like me calling you on fantasy sports this weekend and telling you to set your lineup.
We've gone through that. We'll talk about that in a second.
Classic.
So, but that's actually a good example is you and I, it seems that we have a level of respect for each other that even when we're annoyed at each other, like you've annoyed me at least 4 times this year bad. Like
the time I dropped off 2 carloads.
No, but like when we were setting up the podcast, you'd be like, oh, well, I'm going golfing. I was pissed.
Oh, I know.
We had skipped. I'm like, I'm trying to get this done, but there's this. We have enough respect between us where we're like, I gotta let that go because I've had 600 positive interactions with them.
Right.
I can't let this one interaction be the death knell of the relationship.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's go into one where I did something wrong.
Classic.
So Clint calls me and he's like, you didn't set your lineup in fantasy football. Well, I'm sorry about that. And he's like, some of the guys are mad and they're thinking about not letting you play next year. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. And so what had happened was I was in the middle of a task.
I love being the messenger.
And I'm trying to get off the phone because I'm trying to complete this task.
Right.
So I got done and I thought about the way the conversation, because I was like, yeah, that's fine, that's cool. No, okay, yeah, I don't have to play, I don't care. And then I hung up, and then I got done with the task. I'm like, I can kind of see how Clint heard my side. It's not very good. So I called him back, and I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry about that. I had a task.
Yeah.
So what happened is I lost Saquon Barkley early in the season. I'm setting up my lineup, and during the first phone call, you asked a couple questions. You're like, well, this is why you should.
I basically asked, did you intentionally check out, or was it just something that happened?
No, right? The answer,
well, I didn't think it was yes.
The answer is no, right? And then the other question was, had you been in first place, would you set your lineup? And I said, well, probably not, and I'm busy, and it's my first story. But I'm trying to get the hell off the phone.
Right.
But when I'm doing it, when I'm done with the task, I was like, nah, I probably would have set my lineup if I was in first place.
Yeah.
Because the issue isn't that I'm busy. The issue is that if I'm in first place, it's probably in the front of my brain.
It becomes a greater.
You probably called me the day before, like, oh, you think you're going to win? And then now it's in my brain.
Right.
And so,
out of sight, out of mind,
So I called back and I said, I'm sorry about that. I was in the middle of something. And I just wanted to make it clear, it wasn't that I was like, oh, I'm losing, I'm not going to set my lineup. And screw these guys. That wasn't the case.
No, right.
But,
and I didn't think it was.
I probably didn't set it because I was checked out, because why would that be in the front of my brain? Now, did I? And Was I like, oh, I should set my lineup? Nah, screw those guys. No, that wasn't the case.
No,
you know?
right, yeah.
But at the same time, I understand why people are upset. You're
Well,
supposed to do it.
yeah, when you're 2-10 or whatever your record is, it's like
Right.
it's just not something you're caring about as much as when you did at the start of the year.
Right, but here's the thing. I also understand that it's important that I set the lineup.
Right.
I'm not trying to escape
Well, to
that
your
part.
point, though, and I think this is true for anybody who's going into business, going into marriage, going into
Right.
any relationship, it's like the ability to walk in forgiveness, the ability to let things go and not harbor bitterness and offense. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a ton of people who have gotten to a place where, like, they're still carrying these grudges
Yeah.
that, like, are hindering their ability to move forward in a way that's significant. Like, that's a good, like, the ability to, like, go, you know what, I've done that. And so I'm not going to hold this against John because guess what? I've made the same mistakes. Like, I'm not mad at you. I don't.
Right.
I'm not saying like I haven't done it. There's grace and there's forgiveness.
Right.
Like that's even important in partnership and business. Like Mike and I, we've
Oh,
had
no, like
a
what we
few.
talked about. Oh, yeah, you and Mike,
And
for
Mike
sure.
and I have even referenced the fact that like we've never let like one little issue like become bigger than
Or
it
even
needs
a big
to be.
issue.
No, yeah,
Right.
or even
A
a, big issue.
a moderate
Yeah,
issue.
a moderate
A
issue.
big
I mean,
issue
like,
is relative.
yeah, I mean, it's like because like if you think about it, you and I have 1,000 things in agreement,
Right.
and if we have two disagreements, like those shouldn't weigh heavier than all, you know, or
Right.
like
And you don't wanna hold on to things like I mean, I can't imagine my great aunt's gonna listen to this ever. So, but like, and I'm sure she knows.
What's up, great aunt?
I'm sure she knows the story, right? And so like, my grandma was interesting. So in Minnesota, if you're listening outside Minnesota, when a Minnesotan says interesting, it doesn't really mean interesting. It means
I'm too nice to say.
yeah, I'm too nice to say the bad part. But
To throw them under the bus.
my whole life, my grandma would tell me about when she got married that her sister-in-law, my great aunt, did not pay for her bridesmaid dress at the wedding. I heard this my
Wow.
entire life. I've heard it at least 15 times.
Wow, it's literally consuming her.
Here's the thing.
Wow.
She told me the story on her deathbed.
Wow.
I went to
That
go
was-
visit her 2 days before she passed in the
that's
hospital.
incredibly sad.
I'm there, and she starts talking about the bridesmaid dress. And I remember that when I'm going,
Yeah.
this happened about 10 years ago. And I remember going, I never want to hold on to anything like that,
Yeah.
where I'm on my deathbed and that's what I'm concerned about.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, and the torture she must have been going through in her
Sure.
own brain for 50 years, maybe?
Yeah.
It's not. And so in the moment where it's like, you're annoyed at me about fantasy football, I'm annoyed at you for calling me about fantasy football, but
Right.
it's like,
We're gonna
but
move past it.
we're trying to set up the podcast, you go golf, and I'm thinking you're not really into it.
Right.
I'm a little annoyed, but hey, you're gonna show up next week. Let's see how it goes.
Yep.
You know, there's no point in getting super mad and holding on
And
to it.
or think about it. Like, let's say at that point you're like, screw it, we're not gonna do the podcast. Like, is it worth like letting that whole thing die?
Losing that opportunity.
Over. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, and to
I
your
think we got a
point,
good podcast.
let me ask you this: did you watch or have you listened to at any point Michael Jordan's Hall of Fame speech on this topic?
No, I listened to Allen Iverson's a month ago.
So Jordan specifically, and this is an interesting topic, like to the whole point of like the way your great aunt held on to that.
No, my
It
grandmother, yeah.
It created
About my
about your great
grandmother,
aunt. It created a ton of energy in her life.
Right.
Now, if you listen to Michael Jordan, like him getting cut and being doubted by people produced a tremendous amount of motivation for him to succeed. Now, the problem with it is when you listen to that Hall of Fame speech, it's hard to not think this guy is incredibly like shallow in the fact that he's still being driven by these haters, by these doubters in a way that's like it's unnatural and it's actually sad. Like I listened to it and I was like, rather than him standing there being grateful and thankful to all the people that helped him get where he got, he even called out people that
What do you call out?
I think he called out the coach that cut him and like
He called him out?
literally I have to go back and listen to it to be direct, but he made a reference to it and you're like, you cringe. You're like, wow, like you're years and years beyond this and you're still allowing that to.
Well, I was gonna say I from the documentaries I've watched and stuff, it did seem like Jordan and other basketball players, usually basketball players.
I think Brady was the same way though.
Brady
by
might,
his-
but
yeah,
I think they manufacture hate.
or motivation.
Like somebody
Yeah.
will say something, they'll be like, "Oh, that's incredibly insulting. I'm just gonna motivate me to drop 50 on you." But I thought one where Larry Bird dropped 50 on Sean Kemp.
Okay.
And he goes, before the game, I read this today. It's weird that you brought this up.
Yeah.
I read it today. It's something like they were from the same state, and Bird said, are you the one that was dunking on my brother in high school? And he goes, yeah, it was me. And he goes, did you break all my records and you dunked on my brother? And he goes, yeah, it was me. And he goes, he dropped 50 on me that game, you know?
Wow.
But that's a
Yeah.
manufactured hate
For
to
sure.
motivate yourself.
Now, but if you think about it,
really calling him
Yeah.
out during the Hall of Fame speech, he is holding it on.
I mean,
to that
I'll say this
legitimately.
much. One of the things that makes people popular, likable, and even when it comes to cards, affects their value is, like, for example, Steph Curry. Like, he was definitely disrespected. Like, I love the video
Yeah.
on YouTube of him reading his draft
Yeah.
report.
I
Like,
love those videos.
what they say, and it's like for, like, Coach Up, one of those companies that gets you personal coaches or whatever.
Right.
And it's basically like, this guy can't manage a team.
Right.
He's never going to make it to the next level. Like, and literally as he's reading it, they have him like highlights, and it's like 2015 unanimous MVP,
Right.
2015 finals champ, all this
That's
stuff.
Dan Patrick that does that.
But it's interesting that he, like Steph, you don't get this feel that he's like carrying this huge.
No,
He's
yeah.
happy to be and he's also very humble. Like, he's very grateful for the people around him. He's quick to like thank everyone. And so like it's like a different approach. Like, are you motivated only by negative, or are you allowing the negative to be turned
Well,
to like
Terrell Owens is like that.
Yeah.
He went to small school.
Yeah.
He didn't, he felt
Didn't
like
get
got
disrespect
drafted
and-
third round.
Yeah.
Whereas like John
It's
Randall,
like a chip on your shoulder that's like, it's actually, it may bring a measure of success,
Right.
but I would say it's not the most enjoyable way to live.
I would argue. I mean, I don't know that, and maybe I'm wrong. I wonder if like a guy like John Randall, he used it as motivation, but
Yeah.
it doesn't live with him.
Yeah, amen.
You know,
And once
doesn't live in
football's
his
done,
brain.
that doesn't define him. Like, he doesn't
Right.
allow his identity to be.
But I've never
what
heard him
people
go
say.
like, "I was not drafted," and like when
Yeah,
he's all
right,
bitter about
right,
it.
right.
Now the one where straddle the line where I can't figure it out
Yeah.
is Shaquille O'Neal when
Sure.
he talks about Steve Nash.
About the two
I can't
MVPs, yeah.
figure out if he's actually mad or if
Yeah.
he's joking.
Yeah.
I think it's a combination of he's actually mad, but he knows it's silly to be mad about it.
Yeah.
So he's running that like line
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
he's like he always like he's like he won 2 MVPs over me twice. No, I don't think so.
Well, then, have you ever seen the video where Nash calls in to TNT and they're
Yeah.
talking to him? At the end, he goes something about you stole the MVP, and then
No, he goes, "Do you want to show me one of the MVPs you stole from me?"
and then you hear Nash just fires back and he goes, "You got to be able to shoot free throws."
He
Or
goes,
something. He's like,
if you could have just
made
made free throws down the stretch, I wouldn't have them or something like that.
I love it.
Hey,
It's
like,
a jest.
I'm
By the
doing
way,
that,
switching topics, but on that topic, talking about
Which one is it?
So let's go into the NBA this upcoming season because we're
Yeah.
only 2 weeks out. 2 weeks out from
2
the
weeks
NBA kicking off the 22nd. I just saw the first games. The Warriors are playing the Nets, which is interesting because
Yeah.
you have Durant playing his former team, Nash
Correct.
being the coach. Have you seen?
And the Nets are
have
massive.
you seen Steve Nash's card selling? Because I think I've seen an uptick in some
I
stuff.
don't know if I have enough where I would notice. I haven't had any sell, but
But like,
I don't think I have enough
like
where I would
Steve
notice.
Kerr. So Steve Kerr wasn't nearly as good of a player
No,
as
no,
Nash.
no.
But all of a sudden, like his
Steve Nash's Hall of
cards,
Famer, yeah.
his cards have increased more
No,
because
I-
of his coaching.
I haven't noticed.
That like his rookie,
But
Steve
Jason
Nash.
Kidd hasn't. But I did sell Jason Kidd last night.
But I don't think Jason Kidd has had the success as a coach that Kerr had. And
No,
and
no,
Nash,
no. But
yeah.
but Nash hasn't even started coaching.
No,
So
right.
I don't think you could use that argument.
But he's in the spotlight. But anyway,
No.
and this is interesting because speaking about the Nets, so to come full circle, I actually showed you an article earlier that today Kevin Durant joined a group of sports card investors in an investment. So he joined a pair of FanDuel co-founders and 2 other guys, AJ Vanderchuk. Is that Gary V's son or something? Is he related to him? That's
He
spelled the
hasn't
same.
never talked about a brother or anything.
AJ. So
know.
and Matthew Dellavedova. They
Oh.
all were part of a $1.3 million raise for a company called Star Stock. And so the title of this article is Durant joins sports card marketplace boom with startup investment.
Right.
Which, interesting enough for a current player,
Right.
which I was telling you this. We had a customer who just sold a card. I won't reference which card or the value necessarily, or maybe I should. I don't know if I should, but
I can imagine a card.
he sold the Luka Doncic Prism Gold, which is numbered
Okay.
to 10, PSA 10,
Yeah.
to which ended up in the ownership of Max Kepler, I believe,
Oh, that's
the outfielder for
awesome.
the Twins. So, and it was actually the guy who owned the card lived in Burnsville. And so it's interesting how many people are like in the spotlight in sports and then also getting involved in the business side of sports
now
cards.
that I think about it, Gary Vaynerchuk has been actively selling the acquisition of cards to athletes and musicians.
Yep.
It wouldn't surprise me if it's a brother or something.
It's his brother.
That's
Is
part
his
of
brother?
it.
Okay. So, what's interesting, do you remember at the National? I wonder if you were there at the booth when I had this conversation with there's a basketball collector nationally who's been in the hobby for years who used to be the ball boy for the Denver Nuggets.
Ooh, that sounds familiar.
And so he collects a bunch of Nuggets players who he got to know over the years. Well, a couple of them have actually basically paid him to go and acquire some of their higher-end cards.
Right. Because if they're acquiring it, all of a sudden the prices shoot way up.
And it's just kind of like something they may not have the time to actually do.
Well,
but they
once the player's buying his own stuff, the prices go way higher because they have the money.
Yep. Well, and you also have this guy's connected to a bunch of people naturally who are going to I think like you say, they're going to negotiate with him differently than they would.
And like when Jeremy was on the podcast, they might just have a connection into collectors who have that stuff.
Yeah. So I think he was getting cards for like Chauncey Billups, and there was one guy specifically, was it Nene or somebody who like for the Nuggets, he was like getting all of this guy's cards, which was super interesting. Right. That was the first time I'd heard of that thought. And then I was at the show in Chicago. I don't know if I already told this story on a podcast, but I sold a Jordan rookie to a guy who at the show sold a 52 mantle to Roger Clemens at the same show.
I remember you told me that.
So he was like set up across from us. And he's like, oh, yeah, I've sold Uncle. He calls him Uncle Raj. And like, as though I'm supposed to know who he is. He's like, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that story. He's like, he called him Uncle Raj. You had no idea who
he's
Uncle
like, yeah,
Raj was.
Uncle Raj bought another mantle from me. I'm like,
who?
You have an Uncle Raj? Or do I? Or do you think? So I think.
But you mentioned him almost like in the third person as if he was the third person.
Right.
Like,
well, and then he told me he sold a bunch of cards. He sold cards to Fred Couples, who's a big time card collector.
I didn't know
and
that.
Actually, then later on, I saw Joe Orlando post on Twitter a picture of Fred Couples at the PSA headquarters dropping off some of his cards to get graded.
Some of his own cards.
And one of them, no, not his own card, but cards he owned. One of them was a 52 mantle or whatever. Anyway,
like, I swear to God, this is my autograph.
So this is interesting when it comes to the Nets.
Before you go, I do want to add just the tiniest story in the world. It's not going to be anything except for Steve, who's listening. So what up, Steve?
What up, Steve?
I had so you know how when you're a kid and you play basketball, you play baseball, you're up at bat, and you're like, oh, yeah, I'm Babe Ruth or whatever. Yeah. So we're playing basketball. I'm like 13 or whatever. And
you're like, I'm
Julio Franco. Me and my friend Chad are on a team, and like Steve and somebody else on another team. And I go, I want to be the Nuggets because this is right after Dikembe Mutombo and the last seed being the first seed. And my friend Chad goes, all right, you be the left Nugget, I'll be the right Nugget. I always thought that was the funniest thing. I remember that for 30 years.
Wow.
So homage to Chad.
Thank you, Chad. That's classic. So let's talk a little bit about this basketball season. Very unique season. You have two of the best players in the NBA, Steph Curry and Kevin Durant, basically didn't even play a game last year. Coming back from injury. Now you have Steph losing his splash brother, Klay Thompson, tore his Achilles. Yeah. He's out for the season. But
I acquired a genesis of him the day before, so I'm sorry, Klay. I know that was my fault.
Yeah, sorry, Klay. I jinxed you there.
Yeah.
But and then they drafted Wiseman, who there's a ton of excitement around. So it's like the Warriors went from like nothing, lottery pick, to like being in the hunt. And the Nets were actually in the playoffs without Durant or Kyrie Irving. So like talk to me about who do you see this year as kind of like your top maybe 2-3 teams in the East and the West?
This year, the Warriors were like that fake bad seed.
Right.
Yeah, or fake non-playoff.
All
team.
of our guys are hurt.
It's you got two best players, and then I'm being a little facetious there, but two best players are hurt. Oh, we're a bad team. Like, no, not really.
And they end up getting like what a lot of people believe could have been the number one pick.
Yeah, Wiseman, I think is going to be the best player.
He's got an incredible skill set.
Though I do think
outside shooter.
Edwards will be number 2. So I'm happy with the pick.
I hope so. I mean,
and then the Nets have put together a ridiculous team.
And they're in the East, which let's be honest, the path for the East is like other than Miami and Boston, like the East is just it's up for grabs.
I think Miami overachieved,
and I don't
think Hero overachieved too.
But Butler, we saw him. He's clutch. He's as clutch as they get in the East. I think Giannis doesn't have enough help. I think he might be out of there. And now, and then if you look to the West, you have like Dallas emerging with Porzingis going to be back. You got Luka. Like
I think Dallas is a very interesting team.
I think one of my sleepers, and I know a lot of guys are high on him. You already see card prices increasing. Is the Atlanta Hawks? We've talked about the Hawks.
It's always to be good to pick a sleeper that a lot of guys are high on. That's a good sleeper.
Classic.
Yeah, here's my sleeper team that everybody knows about.
No, I mean, I'll say this much. I mean, I don't think Atlanta is going to be like a 3 seed.
No, right.
But
I get what you're saying.
But they have a lot of young talent, obviously, and they have a team that's built to win in this NBA with outside shooting.
I'll give you a couple of teams that I wrote down. Because we had mentioned, like, we can talk about basketball. All right, cool. So I wrote down a couple things. I think not this season, but next season, based on the core nucleus they got, the Pelicans and the Grizzlies.
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't want to be like so superficial and be like, there's the number 1, number 2 pick last year. I mean, like literally, like the Grizzlies got 3 or 4 young,
for sure,
budding stars.
Yeah.
The Pelicans, like I'm a big fan of Lonzo Ball.
I love the Pelicans
as an undervalued guy.
Brandon Ingram is way underappreciated.
I think Jackson Hayes is a ridiculously undervalued rookie from last year.
Yeah, there's going to be some.
Because of Zion, card-wise, because believe it or not, it's a sports card podcast.
Yeah, this is a podcast on sports cards.
They're going to be on national television all the time.
All the time. Yeah, so the first night, it's the Warriors and the Nets, and then it's the Lakers-Clippers. Last year, wasn't it the Lakers and the Pelicans?
Yeah.
Or was it the all I know is I think the Pelicans were in the.
But Zion's gonna put them. Zion and Ja is gonna put them on national TV a lot.
Yep.
And the Pelicans got Steven Adams too.
Yeah. Yeah,
they got Steven Adams as well. Yeah. So
that's
one of those pieces where you're like, who cares? But if they help them win another 10 games, that's a big deal.
And to be honest, like we saw something with the Denver Nuggets last year that I think the Nuggets are a legitimate championship contender. Like Jamal Murray and Jokic are 2 elite top 10 players, maybe
people
top 15.
People are talking about Jokic, and I don't watch a ton of basketball, and I was watching that series, and I'm like, wow, this guy's great.
I mean, Jokic he's one of the, he's like him and Towns, maybe like as far as versatility outside. He moves a little bit slower, but he's like I mean, he's impressive. I mean, the West is going to be so interesting because you have some teams that were in the playoffs. I really like. I mean, Lillard had a huge year last year, but then you have the Suns emerging with Booker, Ayton coming back. I mean, they've really
Ayton is
and Chris Paul
or Ayton.
Ayton.
It's Ayton.
Chris Paul now too.
Ayton.
So now you have a
way undervalued.
Yep.
Way undervalued. Although he's come up quite a bit, so I don't know if I can make severely undervalued because he's risen quite a bit.
Yeah.
In the offseason.
Because you have that 18 class, you have Michael Porter Jr. in Denver, kind of becoming the number 3 player there.
Right.
You got Ayton now probably being the number 3 with Booker and Chris Paul, and then you got Luka being the star. I mean, and then Trey. I mean, you got some guys in the 18 class.
Right.
That I think 18 and 19, and this comes to cards. So I just had a guy today in the shop who's like, hey, I got some 19 like Chronicles Blasters boxes. Like he had big quantity and want to trade. And I'm like, I think even throughout this season, more so than even last year, I think a lot of people are going to be opening 2019 product.
Yeah.
And 18 has gotten so expensive that you can't even touch it. So like more so than even like this year's product. How do you see Prism this year?
This is not something that's really happened previously until a guy got super big and he's on his way to the Hall of Fame and whatever. But we're seeing people look back to 3 years and going, that guy is good. Let me buy up a bunch of that product. That really wasn't something that happened a whole lot.
You saw this year, like Luka. This blew me away. We had a guy early on, one of our customers, buying Luka Prism Silver, second years, grading them.
Oh, yeah.
And thinking like, man, if these 10, they might be $100. They were $400 or $500 out of the gate. So now you have Zion and Ja and Tyler Hero and all these other guys. You have their second year Prism.
So many guys. Oh, you're talking about
I'm saying
second year.
So I'm saying Prism. Like people are like maybe a little disappointed with this year's draft class. Yeah, but you have all the second year stuff of Zion, Ja.
Hero. Yeah, I definitely don't sleep on that. I do have a guy. Again, I'm no basketball mind, but when I mentioned him, Evan went freaked out.
So that's a good
something
sign.
to him last week.
Nice.
I was like, yeah, about a whole bunch of them. But Jared Allen for the Nets.
Yes.
So this is the only reason why I bought a few of his cards.
I shipped a card today of his, by the way. So
Okay.
anyway, a Prismato.
So
rookie
I
auto.
look up on Basketball Reference. So basically I spent all day on Basketball Reference, Baseball Reference, and Pro Football Reference. Like
Nice.
looking up stats, looking up,
Yeah.
when I'm wondering about a guy.
Some nuance
And
stuff
I looked at the draft,
from
and so there's
2017.
a stat called win share, and I don't exactly even know how it works.
Sure.
Right? It's like I guess it's
It's
kind
like
of like war.
It's like the basketball war, right?
It's like
Yep.
basketball war, right? Tatum and who else is in that draft?
Mitchell, Donovan Mitchell.
Donovan Mitchell and Tatum. Jared Allen has the highest win share in the entire draft.
Wow.
And it's by like 3 games
Yeah.
over Tatum.
Yeah.
And I'm going, I don't exactly know what win share means, but I got it that was like war.
Yep.
And I went, Jared Allen's selling for nothing.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, I can afford
Well,
nothing.
I don't think that's true anymore, though. I think people are onto it like you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I probably bought an RPA, like, I can't remember what it
well,
was.
and you know who else is in that
couple months
class?
ago?
Oh, no, he's in 16. It's Pascal Siakam. But there's a couple other guys
yeah.
that have started
But
to
I'm just
emerge
like,
in these
why
other...
is he?
By the way, today I pulled out, and this is an interesting question, for same class, 2017, Markelle Fultz was the first-round pick for
Yeah.
Orlando. I think he's going to have an emergence this
Really?
year.
Why do you
he
think that?
He had a lot better year last year.
Okay.
Well, he had an injury. So his rookie year, he had that shoulder problem where he couldn't
Right.
lift his arm above his head, right?
That's
well, then
a
last
bad
year,
thing, yeah.
that's bad when it comes to shooting the basketball or rebounding the basketball or
Doing
playing
any-
basketball.
doing
So,
anything, yeah.
everyone is, immediately, first-round pick, literal first overall pick, flop. Well,
Right.
I think he is getting better and getting more opportunity, and I think he got so low and so forgotten about that
Yeah.
even if he has an all-star year, I think the growth potential for his cards just to come
Interesting.
back a little bit.
What's your opinion on number 1 pick? I was talking to Steve about him. Steve's like, he sucks. So I'm like, okay. What up, Steve?
How many what's the over-under on Steve references?
What up, Steve? Is always over. Underline is always 5.
5? I'll take the over.
over. Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
If you look at his numbers, he has good numbers.
Yeah.
His argument is just like, that ain't number 1 pick numbers, and that's
Yeah.
not,
Well,
But I'm like,
and,
he's 24.
and let's be honest, when he came out in 2016, actually, interesting you bring up Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons, I would say, personally, his rookie year, 2016 Prism, he marked the beginning of Prism Silvers being worth something.
Oh.
And Mike and I were talking about this. We actually remember when all of a sudden it was his Prism Silver's a big deal. Silvers in 2016 became a big deal.
You know what's funny is we were at...
And it was directly connected to him.
We were doing a flea market, and I was next to at the flea market.
Yeah.
A 3-day flea market all day. It was
The
hot.
Elko one or
It was
the...
hot. Well, no, I
And,
think that was the first one. Not
Okay.
The second one was hot.
Yeah.
And you went out
Picking.
looking, and then you came back, and so I wasn't heavy in cards. I'm building the apparel business.
Yeah.
I'm not heavy. I was barely in the cards because I was doing the apparel
I actually
business.
remember what I found there.
And you go, you had found some silvers.
Yeah.
And you go, yeah, I found these silvers from a guy. Nobody knows the silvers are worth more than some of the numbers stuff. I go, oh, I didn't know that. You
Yeah,
know?
a rookie silver.
I can't remember what
dude,
you got either.
Dude, literally in 2016, 2015, you could have bought 2012, the first year of Prism basketball. You could have bought silvers for 1.5, 2x a
Right.
base. Now they're literally 10 to 15 times. Do you remember when we drove with Dan to the National? We stopped
What
at
up,
that
Uncle
card shop in Madison, and I was buying up
Yeah.
Prism basketball. I bought up 13 he had some colored stuff and some silvers, but Ben Simmons specifically marked.
I don't remember you buying that. I
The
remember you looking
shift.
at some Aaron Rodgers at that shop.
Yeah, I got some.
I bought
from-
some pennants.
A couple of those PSA 10 too. That was
Oh,
fun.
nice.
Yeah. We tend actually a bunch of the Prism. Larry Bird.
What's the name of that shop? That was an
Great
old school
question.
shop.
It was
man.
right near the campus. Right
But
near.
wasn't it
Yeah.
old school?
Well, they'd been there
90s,
30
been there
years or-
Forever. I love that shop.
Well, we walked in and the owner actually wasn't there. He had already packed up to go to
Right.
the show, but
Go to the
it was
National,
fun to be
yeah.
able to dig through some boxes. But so Prism basketball in 2016, things changed under Simmons. Simmons was presented as the next LeBron.
Right.
He was
Wow,
no,
LeBron?
yes, he was
Wow.
absolute consensus
I
number one.
remember that first car show. There was an 8-foot banner of him
Yeah.
walking into the convention center.
Convention center, yeah. And so Simmons, the problem with Simmons is this NBA doesn't appreciate a guy who can pass and rebound and play defense but can't
Right.
shoot. He can't
Right.
shoot. He doesn't have a jump.
But he's averaging 18 points.
Dude,
though.
he went a whole season without making a three. I think.
But here's the
And
thing,
no,
though.
hold on. A point guard in the NBA, John, when a whole season, I don't even know if he
How
attempted more
often
than
did
5.
Stockton hit threes?
All the time. He hit one in the
did he?
finals and almost won the
No,
finals.
right. But I mean, hey, Evan,
Come on,
look
John.
that up if you can. Like,
Look up, Ben Simmons made threes. He literally. So the weird part is like
did
he
Stockton
can do
shoot
everything
threes?
else.
I don't
Yes,
remember
yes, he
shooting
did.
threes
Yes.
all that
No,
much.
he was great. I mean, he probably averaged
He
like
probably
3
could,
a game.
but here's the thing
No,
with
he did.
Stockton. He didn't have to. He gave them
Stockton
alone.
and Hornacek shot a lot of threes. By the way,
gonna check Stockton.
I saw an interview with Karl Malone. This may be for another podcast, but he is not a good individual.
Oh, he's a gross person.
He
yeah.
is a gross person.
Yep.
I want to have a conversation with you about Karl
He's a
Malone
gross person, dude.
and how awful he is.
Yep.
We'll leave that for later. Okay.
Ben Simmons didn't make his first 3 until his third year.
He didn't
Ben
make his first
Simmons
three. Okay,
did not
Stockton
make
made more than that.
A 3 until his third year. So
Did he even make any attempts, really? Or
now,
he shouldn't have, like,
now let me
six?
say,
0.1 attempts
no,
a game.
Point
now
one
let me
attempt
now
per
let me
game.
say this, John,
Well, listen to that, though. That means
Yeah.
he made 8 attempts. And
because
made-
he knows he can't make one. Obviously.
Oh, maybe. Yeah,
So
probably.
here's what I'm saying is like back in the Magic Johnson days, a guy he reminds you more of Magic
Yeah.
than he does obviously Curry or Trae Young or
oh,
these
yeah.
guys who are like it's all about like even Kyrie, like
Yeah.
the handle, the shot. Like Simmons is a big guy. Like he gets a lot of triple doubles, but his baskets are all right at the rim. I mean,
Right.
he's not making shots
But
outside
here's
of
the thing,
16
like,
feet.
his career averages are, like, 18, 9, and 9.
2 makes in his career.
He's got 2 threes.
2 or 3.
In his whole
Okay,
career.
Stockton has more.
Stockton has
significantly.
more in the game 6 of the 98
I'll put it
finals.
this way. I had more threes in free basketball before 8th grade.
Right.
Every day before 8th grade class started.
So interesting though about Simmons, like
Damn.
his cards though marked in a lot of ways the beginning of like the Prism craze. Like
I do remember that at that flea market, I think was the second time you found a rookie Topps Heritage Trout.
yeah, I found
like
two.
$5
I found,
or
no,
something?
No. I found 2 of them for 50 cents each,
50 cents.
and I tend them both. PSA 10 them both.
Okay.
So we
what'd
should
you
have
get-
we should have a whole
What
story
did
about
you
just
get for
great
those,
finds.
and what are those worth now?
Okay, so I paid 50 cents, graded them. They tend. I sold one of them for like 200 prior to the
Alright,
season,
yeah.
and then I sold one in the season for closer to like 250.
What are they worth now?
Now I think they're 400 to 500.
Jeez.
Yeah, I mean,
No, you got those. I knew what those were. You're like, you know what's either? Like, I know what
and
those are.
specifically, so
Damn.
that picture in the 2012 Heritage is the 63 top set.
And it doesn't say
reprinted.
rookie anywhere on
It
it.
doesn't say rookie, and that's
Yeah.
part of it. But then also the bottom of that card is green, and it's like you remember Pete Rose's rookie. It's all one solid color. It tends to show a ton of wear. And when I saw
okay.
those, they were in like a dollar box, but they were marked 50 cents. And
Yeah,
of course, I was happy to
Oh,
pay
I-
the 50
yeah,
cents
sure.
quick. But you know what else I found in that at that same show was 2 second-year Chrome LeBron cards. Do you remember that?
Oh, wow, no.
And one of those 10. And
I
at the
remember
time,
that.
those
What
were
year-
like
what
100.
year?
So 04, Topps Chrome.
wow.
And now those are like probably 1,000
Oh, yeah.
or something silly, you know.
No, at that one show, I bought, what was it? It was a Kevin Love jersey that you
Yes,
found.
out of what was it? Was a reprint.
It was a Muskie.
Muskies.
It was a Minnesota
Minnesota
Muskie.
Muskies.
I end up
Which is
getting
was that
two-
the ABA team? Or-
Yeah.
Okay.
I ended
yeah.
up getting $250 for that jersey. That was an
Wow.
extremely rare jersey.
And there was a Kobe that you wouldn't sell because it was fake.
It was fake. And if you want to hear more about that, listen to the previous podcast.
Yeah, a little shout out for the
We,
previous
uh,
podcast. By the
we,
way, hey,
had a
can I-
discussion.
hey, I want to tell you my best find for percentage wise. I was at the show in Bloomington one time, and this was I asked this guy who mainly does baseball if I could look through if he had any basketball. He goes, "Yeah, I pulled out this box."
Yeah.
And it was all Prism. And in this box, what year was Porzingis a rookie? 15. So it's 15. So Towns was the big, and Booker, and in this box there was rookie silvers of a bunch of players.
And you're like, all right.
And so I pulled out a green Porzingis, a silver Porzingis, a Booker silver.
You're the baseball guy.
I pulled out 7 cards. So I pulled like maybe 8 or 10 cards. I go, how much are these? He goes, no joke. He says, $7 for $1.
7 for $1.
7 for. So I got a Porzingis silver, a Porzingis green, a Booker silver, and something else.
You know what
I
happened?
paid like 12 cents a card.
You know what happened? He bought a collection,
Yeah,
a
he
little
just-
bit of basketball in there.
He didn't care.
give a
Didn't
crap
care. No,
about
he didn't know
basketball.
who was who.
He was just like,
and,
whatever.
so literally, as soon as he told me 7 for $1, I went back and
Yo,
made an even
whoa,
21
you
or
went
something.
back?
Yeah, I went back. I took every silver. And, dude, we graded the 2 Porzingises. They both got 9s, and I think they sold for like 200 and like 150,
dude.
which now they're worth probably
7 for what a weird
7 for $1, yeah. I
7
mean,
for $1, and you had 8. So he's trying to get that
So-
second buck
yeah,
out
he
of
wanted literally at the time.
he's trying to upsell you that extra dollar.
And you know what's funny is like at the time
Well,
I
you
was
got 9.
I was thinking they were going to be like $1 a piece,
Hey,
and that was cheap.
mister, you got 9, so it makes more sense to find 4 more
No, I'll
and
just
get
give you
that
2.
$2.
I'll just give you 2.
That's hilarious.
So that was a good find. Those don't come along that much.
Right
but-
now, the Ravens are up 24-10. I have not been watching this game, but how good is CeeDee Lamb? Like,
Not as good as Justin
no, not as
Jefferson.
good as Jefferson, but this wide receiver class is amazing.
Yeah, no, I think and receivers have taken a bigger market share in the hobby. DK
Which I'm
Metcalf's
happy
been a big
about.
part of that. you
I'm
know?
happy about
Yeah.
that.
I mean, I think Jefferson actually, like, one of the saving graces for buying a $1,000 Prism hobby box
Yeah.
is the fact that some of these receivers are selling for like what last
Yes.
year's quarterback sold
Yeah.
for, or 2 years ago, or So
Well,
you have a
here's
big-
something interesting. Like, a Jefferson base is $40 versus a Herbert base at $2 to $250.
yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of
Lot of
potential value there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, not that I think $40 for a base anything is legitimate,
but it's all proportionate. It's
Yeah.
all proportionate to the box
but
price. and,
proportionate to Herbert.
Yeah. But think about this, John.
Lot of
Part
room.
let me ask you this: what comes first, the chicken or the egg?
The chicken.
You
What do you? I thought you were religious. The chicken comes first. God
it?
didn't put eggs
Okay.
on the planet.
he didn't? Okay, just the chicken.
Yeah,
Okay, it didn't come out an egg. The first one didn't come out an
You
egg.
would know. Like, what day did he make the animals? Pop quiz. What day did he make the animals? Right? Isn't there a day where he put life on it?
Wow.
Yeah, okay, your pastor's not going to be happy with
Yeah,
it.
he's not.
But anyway, that day, he didn't go, oh, here's a bunch of alligator eggs and chicken eggs. He made chicken.
Okay, what came first, the cart or the horse? Which is first?
The horse comes first.
Okay,
What are we doing here, Clint?
So let me. Here's my actual point, which is funny. This is funny. I like your breakdown of
The
this.
chicken came first.
You have $1,000 box price, which if someone spends $1,000 on a
Yeah.
box, are they going to sell a base rookie of one of the best rookies for $10? No, because the box costs that much. Or is it because they think the card's going to be worth more than the box costs more?
Most of the time, the card comes first and the box responds to that.
Responds to
but
it.
I think Prism Football is the opposite.
Yeah.
I think people price the box,
Yep.
and then people are like, well, I'm not selling my Herbert unless
No,
I
of
get
course not.
$200 for it.
Yeah, because I mean,
And
it's
so
the best card in the box.
I would
so-
argue the single comes first
Yep.
every time except for this time.
Yep. Well, and
I got to think about
well,
that,
actually,
though.
I think what's coming first too, if you
Well,
want to.
92 Bowman, the whack came first,
Yep.
right? So there's
Well,
some
let me say
products
this.
that were short printed.
Is it the price of, let's say, 2017 Prism football
Yes.
is driving the 2020
Yes.
more so than even the singles?
Well, the
right? It's
2017 Prism Football is driving everything.
Yeah.
Like that's
So
what could be.
you have a Mahomes box now that's 6,000.
Yeah.
So they're like,
Well, it's 1/6
well,
of that box.
yeah. So it's only there's a really and which then causes the
You know
singles
what the
to be.
worst thing that could happen for prices?
What's that?
That Herbert becomes like Patrick Mahomes in 2 years. And then people are like, "Oh, that's $6,000. I was
happened-
right to pay $1,000
Hey,
a box."
and not only that, this happens every year.
Yeah, it
we
happens
get
every
you know,
year.
we get the face
it's like,
of the
it's like
NFL.
it's like a Boston sports fan
Yeah.
who was born in 2000.
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, we get at least 2 championships a year.
All
That's
we
just
do
the
is
way
win.
life
Which,
is."
by the way, how did the Patriots put 45? Who'd they play again? Was it the Chargers? They beat the Chargers.
I don't
Yeah,
remember.
I think they beat the Chargers like 45-0 or something silly. Anyway, to the point of like back to the NBA
Yeah.
for a second. I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is. I think we talked about last time, a guy I'm personally investing in is Kevin Durant. I actually put a $100 bet on Kevin Durant to win the MVP
Okay.
at plus 1,400, which means 1,400,
If you bet
14 to
100,
1.
you win
You win
1,400.
1,400. Because I think if you look at this year's NBA, he should be like 1 in 5. He should be like 5 to 1, 6 to 1.
You're not worried that he's coming off an injury and
No.
that thing where what did he hurt? Knee?
Achilles, towards Achilles.
Okay, so Achilles worked.
Yep.
Here's the so like I popped my calf once. It's the only time I've ever had an injury like that.
Real similar to Kevin Durant's physique too. You and Kevin. and like his athletic prowess. Come on, John.
Wow.
I'm just kidding.
That really hurt my feelings.
No, it didn't. I mean, I could say I'm like,
Right,
you know,
that's the
almost
most creative
athletic.
way I've ever been called fat before.
No.
So anyways, so
You could be skinny and you're not Kevin Durant.
No, I
He's
understand that.
6'10"
Well,
and
okay,
a freak.
So you
The
listen
guy's-
to the point.
Yeah.
So I popped my calf once, right?
yep.
And I've always heard this. Stop laughing, Evan. So I've always heard this about athletes, and
Yeah.
I had never injured myself like that before. I also blew out an ankle once. Right?
Which calf
It was
is painful.
after I
Calf
got-
is connected to your Achilles.
Well,
and
but
there's
it's
a whole-
like it's like after I got
Yep.
old and I wasn't playing sports anymore. But like they always talk about how it's not necessarily that your knee can't handle the cut, but your brain can't make your knee make the cut like you did before.
Right.
Your brain won't allow you to. So I'm not arguing that he
Yeah.
won't be good, but what if
Yep.
the first 20 games he's just like, because here's the thing,
Yeah.
like if I do this, is my Achilles gonna pop again?
Yeah.
You can't make your brain stop thinking that.
Hey, let me say this. Have you seen any clips of him shooting recently?
No.
He's unbelievable. There's never been a player like Kevin Durant. Like, I just want to say, Kevin Durant is the greatest combination of size
Yeah.
and skill and scoring and shooting the NBA's ever seen.
Right.
He literally is the
Well, it
unicorn.
used to be
He's
you
the
were
ultimate
so
unicorn.
big,
Yeah.
you would dunk it.
Think
you would
about
drive,
it. He's Kevin Durant
You didn't have to shoot.
with Steph Curry's shot, dude. It's just
Yeah.
like he can shoot with Curry. Have you ever seen clips where like him, Clay, and Curry like go like 5 minutes without missing? Like they just don't miss. Like his shot.
Yeah, I remember one. Me
Which
Steve
actually-
and Chad were running, and what? What's about? Why are you laughing?
Let me say this, Durant. Like the thing about Durant is actually his injury. Like so Kobe tore his Achilles, and I'd have to look back
Yeah.
at like what he did the next couple years.
Yeah,
But
no, that's a good idea.
he came
Look
back.
at his first 20
Yeah,
games.
the first
and
20 games back.
That would be really interesting.
But think about it, for Durant, actually, it could actually be a benefit for him because he may change his game, and his shot like is as good as there is in the NBA,
Right.
and he's unguardable. Like, who's 7 feet with like a 7'3" wingspan
So he was like
and can shoot
the
from
Shannon
anywhere?
Sharp of basketball. Like the linebackers are too slow for me,
Yes,
and the corners,
and the corners
are
are too small.
for me.
Like if you're big enough to cover Durant, you're never gonna be quick enough. And if you're quick enough, he's got 6
just
inches
gonna-
on you. Like
he's gonna Derrick Henry you
yeah,
out
like
of the
he's
court.
it's just sick. And not only that, he has Kyrie, Karis LeVert. He's got Jared Allen. He's got.
Oh, you're
a
big on
team.
LeVert.
I'm huge on LeVert. I
Yeah.
think LeVert's their number 3 star. I mean, I remember him back at Michigan in the Big Ten watching Gopher games.
I think there's been 6 different times you've mentioned LeVert to me.
And you know what? I sold a Prism. You know why I'm really big on LeVert? Because I sold a Prism orange refractor to 25 for like $20, and I'm still regretting it.
Oh,
I'm like,
wow.
who's this guy? I can't even pronounce his name. Karis? Carrot?
No, he wasn't on my radar at all. Till you said
So
his name. was
I
like,
mean,
okay.
I think the Nets, I would say, are going to be the strong. They are the strong favorite Vegas wise in the East, but I mean, I don't see like a lot of teams matching up with them.
Right.
I mean, even the Lakers. You know, I mean, like there's some significant matchup problems. So I mean,
Now let me ask the
and
question
Durant's
about
hungry,
the Nets.
man. Durant's hungry.
Let me ask
Like,
the question
you
about the
go a
Nets.
year without playing, and
So, this card wise. So
Yep.
we talked about Jared Allen.
Yep.
Okay, so he has more win shares than Tatum.
Yep.
But he's on a team where he's got 2 superstars, got LeVert.
Yep.
Is there somebody else on that team that
yeah,
the big
Joe
name?
Harris, who won the
Dinwiddie,
3-point.
too.
And Joe Harris probably doesn't count.
You know, he's a role shooter.
No,
He's a-
but what
yeah,
I'm saying
yeah.
is like name.
Yep.
Does it get to a point where no matter what Jared Allen does, he gets overshadowed by everybody else, and his cards just don't get it because like
No, I actually think it's different. I think he's more like Draymond Green, where he gets the benefit of being in the finals
on the super
and
star
like
team.
and like Draymond Green is good, but
Not that good.
but we all think about him more because he played so many games in the national spotlight on a championship team.
oh, so
like-
you're
like, I
saying
think-
we wouldn't even know his name at all if he wasn't on the Warriors.
He'd be a good role. There's plenty of good role players like him. I mean, he's maybe a better
Right.
version of some of
He's
them.
Bill Wellington.
But like, let me ask you this: did people care much about Dennis Rodman with the Pistons? I mean, like, did he
Yeah,
get
they
a lot of
did.
attention though?
Yeah.
Not like he did with the Bulls. Like he wasn't a celebrity.
But if you look
He
at,
wasn't hanging out with Carmen Electra.
I understand that, but if you look at sports cards,
Yeah.
he's in all the special subsets.
When?
When he was with the Pistons. If you look at hoop,
there weren't subsets though.
no, there are subsets been around since.
Not 1987 Flair and 88
not,
Flair.
I'm talking about
89.
91,
Okay.
92.
Okay.
He would be like, the next greatest subset or whatever.
Yeah, he'd be in
Right?
some inserts. I remember him being in more
But
inserts
that's
actually
what-
with the Spurs.
No,
too,
true. But what
you
I'm
know?
arguing is like, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm saying he was a big deal. No, but that's kind of like when people say, well, COVID made the card hobby go crazy. I'm like, nah.
No, not quite.
That was gasoline on the
It
fire.
was gasoline on the fire. The fire was burning strong.
The Bulls was the
Dude,
it was the gasoline. On the fire.
Before COVID started, I remember one day thinking, how in the world are these prices from the national until February? The prices were on this incredible
Right.
which actually COVID, at the beginning of COVID, it actually brought a small correction, which I
Right.
thought was healthy for the
Right.
market.
Oh, no, it was.
And then it just like I never saw it like
And
doing that
everybody was
V-shaped.
bored.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if you look at our hobby, you don't have to spend a lot of money to be in the hobby,
Nope.
but most people in the hobby got some money.
Right.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And like you can really have fun in this hobby at $20 a month.
Yeah.
Like if you
for
put
sure.
together, you can dig through dime box, the quarterbacks, put together cool insert sets that are fun to look at, not worth a lot, but fun to look
Right.
at and cool. You can collect Hall of Fame. You can be a Hall of Fame collector, and you can pull Hall of Famers out of dime boxes all day long, right?
Yeah.
And fun to look at cards, not boring stuff.
Yep.
But this hobby is for middle to upper middle class, and now we're seeing extremely wealthy people on the top end.
But
And so what
to the
happens
point,
is-
did we talk about this yet? About the one of the coolest things about the hobby
Huh.
is that
Did we talk about one of
unlike
the coolest things about the hobby
No,
yet? Yes, we have.
unlike
But which one are you thinking?
okay,
of?
so unlike the art market, if you want an authentic original
yeah.
Picasso, there's only one entry level, and it's
Right.
like whatever the
The
market
one,
is.
yeah.
The one is like 100 million or something, or
Right.
like okay. But whereas like a Jordan rookie, you can enter the market at a 1, an authentic
Right.
altered, or a
Right.
10. So the millionaire can buy the 100,000,
Mm-hmm.
and you as a blue collar, middle class, whatever, like even
Yeah, you come up with $1,000.
you could come up with $800 and have an authentic Jordan rookie,
Right.
which it actually makes the hobby that much broader
Yes.
and more widely reaching to numerous demographics.
Right.
Whereas like the art market feels very elite.
Right.
The sports
But
car
that
market's
being-
like
but
the
that
blue
being
collar,
said,
yeah.
This hobby is for middle and up.
You have
I
to
mean-
have disposable income
Well,
because it's
I-
not an essential
Whoa, what?
I mean,
No.
some guys would argue like
Saying some crazy stuff in the podcast today.
according to Governor Walz.
But no,
we
I
are
mean,
essential.
it's up. But here's the thing about if you're middle and up, you're most likely to have a white-collar job, or you're most likely to have a very essential blue-collar job that's
Sure.
well-paying, so plumber, electrician, that kind of stuff.
Trade.
Or you
Yep.
have a white-collar job where you just work from home.
Sure.
So you didn't have an interruption in income.
Right.
And you're bored. Because
Sure.
here's the thing about my wife. My wife stayed home. She's basically gets an extra hour a day, or extra hour and a half a day because she's not sitting in traffic.
Sure.
Well, over the course of the year, what is that? That's 200, 300 hours.
Yeah.
I guarantee people are hitting the internet and like,
Sure.
what are some cards to sell?
For sure.
No, that's what's happening.
No, I totally agree. And so the hobby's a really cool mixture too of like it can be something where you enjoy collecting and then you fuel that with some card flipping and some business making some money. And like so it can be like another stream of income.
Mm-hmm.
Like eBay, like when you got into eBay, like when I got into eBay, it wasn't my primary only source. It was
Right.
adding, how like wealth building is usually done with multiple streams of income.
Correct.
And like this just gives people another stream, which
Right.
if they can maybe get some investment cards,
And they're having fun with
And
it,
they're
so
having
it's
fun
not
with it.
really even work.
yeah, so it doesn't feel like work,
I think that's why
as
a lot
much,
of people
you know.
get into real estate. I hate
Sure.
the word flipping, but real
Yeah.
estate flipping where, yeah, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of money, but it's kind of fun.
Yeah, you get
like-
you get the satisfaction of seeing a renovation
yeah,
done. And
you get
something-
done with
yeah,
it, like heck yeah.
It's
and
why
then
people watch
your
all
payoff
these-
is really big.
for sure.
Like
That's
I
why
made
people watch
$45,000.
Chip and Joanna Gaines and like seeing them restore a house.
Right.
So people will be entertained by someone else doing it,
Oh,
and then
absolutely.
doing it yourself.
It's
brings
even better.
yeah,
it's
even
actually better. It's not like,
yeah.
oh, plumbing looks fun, and then you're doing it like this sucks. you
Yeah.
know?
Like, by the way, how'd your bathroom renovation go?
Went very poorly. So the last podcast,
John hadn't showered.
I hadn't showered in a month.
Oh my gosh.
I had only taken like those washcloth
Okay, that's enough
bath.
information.
It was
TMI.
bad. So after the podcast, Clint's like showing me something on the street. He's like, "Oh my God, John!" I'm like, "I know."
Like, John, I actually
Yeah,
do
it was
smell you.
It was rough, dude, and so it was bad. Like I think the contractor was a nice guy,
Yep.
which made it hard for me to be pissed at him. But like, it was not they did it poorly, ripped it all out, did it again, much better than the first time, but not great.
Really?
Like there's a lot of detail stuff that can be fixed, but it's like it should have been done.
Yeah.
You know, it was a lot of laziness.
And how'd you find them? Was it
a referral?
referral?
Yeah, someone was like, they did
is
my
the
bathroom.
way you
It was
wanted
great.
it. Yeah,
it was my bathroom. They were great, and we
maybe
liked
they
them.
just had a lower standard of
I don't know.
acceptableness,
I mean, I saw pictures of their bathroom. Like nice. I mean, but like it was stuff like. So one of the things was his son who.
So I was relieved to see when I came in today that you had showered. That was very kind of you.
What's that?
Because I know our listeners would probably smell you over the podcast.
Yeah,
so
dude,
now they're like, wow,
yeah,
nice and
if
fresh. These guys are good
If
to
you
go.
listen to podcast number 6, you're gonna be like, what is that smell? It's me. I apologize. But no, it's just like he let his son make it his first time he ever did it on his own.
Oh boy.
But like he didn't paint the door.
Oh wow.
He didn't, you know, he had
Yeah.
the 2 big holes in the wall, and he just missed them. They're massive holes at eye level. I mean, it's just laziness.
Yeah.
You know, and so
Cutting
it wasn't
corners
great,
and-
but now
Sure.
we're happy because
You can use it.
our
It's
bathroom
functioning.
was atrocious.
Yeah.
You know, and so now it's the first nice thing in the house. So,
Nice. It's one place to start. like-
kitchen will be next year,
nice. Start one room at a time.
and a dishwasher
Nice.
I'll wonder where all the dishes are going.
Nice.
I had told a story before we started the podcast. When I was in college, I had this great internship. They paid us well, and I got my own like executive short-term apartment in one of the high rises in St. Paul. And there was a maid service every week. And my mom had bought me some, you know, bowls and plates and stuff. And so, of course, I don't do my dishes right away. And the maid would come in, and then I'd come back, and the dishes were gone. And I couldn't find them. Looking in every cupboard, I can't find them. Next week, I got a few more. I don't think much of it because, you know, I'm a boy. And
Are you?
And then the next week, you know, more dishes are gone. More of my the dirty dishes are gone. Is she throwing them away? Is she stealing them? Like, I'm like, and I kept telling everybody, like, I don't, like, there's no reason to steal them.
Right.
So it doesn't make any sense. So this goes on for a few weeks. I finally have my sister over at the apartment, and I'm talking to her in hushed tones, like, I don't know what's going on, but the maid comes in, and all my dishes are showing up missing, but, like, the ones that are in the cupboard are still there. I don't understand. And she's staring at me, and she walks over to the dishwasher and opens it up, and they're all my clean dishes. So,
Classic.
yeah. So we'll
So
get
no,
a
that thing
dishwasher,
about that
and
dishwasher
Annie,
thing.
it'll be Annie's job to do
Nice.
dishwasher.
Nice.
Like, where are the bowls?
back to basketball. Who are you seeing selling? As right now, I'm seeing an increase in basketball sales. Like,
I'm not.
okay,
I don't.
Kobe White.
But
Yep.
I have a lot of stuff that's pre-05.
I'll tell you a couple guys that
Listed.
I've seen sell just in the last couple weeks have not really surprised me, but I think have a lot of potential. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for OKC.
Yeah,
'Cause
I just did a listing of his.
So he was an 18 rookie.
Yep.
I bought a bunch of his Prism about January and sent them to grade late. I kind of held those and then sent them this summer.
Right.
And I'm excited for those to come back because I'm seeing his prices.
Yeah, I
move
actually did a
significantly.
listing for him 2 weeks ago, and I got an immediate couple of sales off of it.
Nice. We actually shipped today, which is selling, and we sold out of it. We haven't even talked about this on the podcast, is the WNBA Prism. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I've had
as a-
one box. I still have it.
Okay. So
But that's
one
more
ripped
to
it.
be my customer base isn't developed yet.
Right. Couple other guys that have been selling. Jared Allen sold today, like we've been referencing. And these are I'm just going to reference some players who aren't your standard guys because we're always selling Jordan, we're always selling
right.
Kobe, we're always selling Giannis.
Hey, I sold some Griffies last week.
There you go, Griffey. Hey, Griffey, nice. Basketball-wise, though, Ayton has been selling.
Mm-hmm. I don't even have Aiden listed. He's in my stash box.
I mean, Booker, if you have stuff, is like a real premium is beginning to get paid. I see. So Darius Garland, rookie for the Cavs, is selling. Right?
Oh,
Cavs?
really?
All right, Cavs. Garland is selling. Sexton is
Really?
selling. Yes.
No, Sexton I got stashed. I'm not going to list him because I like him so much.
Mm-hmm.
But Garland I didn't know about. I'll have to look and see what
I
I
mean,
got.
I'm not necessarily saying they're selling for huge prices, but the fact that he's
But they're
selling at all,
selling.
they're actually like selling. Because like sometimes in the hobby, like when we John, you see a lot of collections. Like you look at a collection, and one of the things you're evaluating when you purchase cards, which hopefully this is helpful for anyone here who's buying collections, is the speed to which you can actually sell the card. Not
Right,
even for
right.
like what's the price can be, but like will it ever even sell?
Right.
Like sometimes you get those cards where you go like, yeah, this thing might be worth $200. Like
In theory.
in theory,
Yeah.
if someone actually ever buys it, because it's a rare card.
Right.
But it's like today we were looking at actually buying
Well,
a.
for older players,
Another one I was gonna say before I forget is
Yeah.
Dylan Brooks.
Dylan
Do you know what I'm talking about? So Dylan Brooks for the
Grizzly.
Grizz,
Okay.
he has only an optic rookie from 2017. He doesn't have a prism.
Okay.
So if you're looking for Donruss or optic, I just sold a big like 12 card lot. And his prices last year started to move, and I think it's connected to what you said,
It's
the
such a good
excitement
team.
around John Morant.
And the team in general.
And who's going to be like number 2, number 3 star on that team?
Who is it? Jaren Jackson? He hurt all season.
Jaren Jackson got hurt at the end of the year. I don't think he's going to be playing
Won't
at
be
the start of
playing
the
this
season.
I don't think.
Because
Hey,
this
we
is a
could be
unique
wrong
year,
about
too. Like, we didn't see as many games. And there's certain teams that didn't even come back to the bubble.
that. Hey,
you know,
so Evan, how far in are we?
Hour 30 exactly.
Hour 30. So I think
Yeah.
hour 30 is about where we always end up. But I want to
Yeah.
talk about two things.
Sure.
And I just thought about one of them that we said we should talk about
Yep.
right after
Oh.
podcast.
And then I
The
want to say.
autograph 10.
Yes.
But if not a 10,
Yep.
go. I learned this last week after the podcast.
Okay, so when you send a card to PSA to be authenticated, meaning the card was not pack pulled, it's not authenticated by the card company, the manufacturer didn't have the card signed, so they're not guaranteeing the autograph. You take a card, and let's say you pull a Joe Montana rookie, you go to a signing, you have him sign it. You have to get that card authenticated.
Right.
You send it to PSA. When you do that, you have a few different options. One is you can just get the autograph authenticated. Another one is you can grade the card and get it authenticated. You can actually grade the autograph and the card
And not get it.
and have it
Great
authenticated.
card graded.
Or you could do just the auto graded. Now, the cool part about that is if the card's in poor condition and the autograph is nice, meaning like the way they grade an autograph is, does it go off the card?
Right.
Is there smudging? Is there a spot where he lifted it up and it's not solid
Yeah,
through
it's like
the autograph?
like a heavy mark. Yeah.
Yep. So like if the autograph is a 10 and the card's in rough condition and you grade it, it can become a pop 1 10
Yeah. So
autograph.
what we learned is not only do we make this card a PSA 10,
Right.
but we make it a pop 1 because it doesn't go in with the other card.
And for all of you listening, I've actually had a lot of customers ask, what does pop mean when they see it on the grade? So pop 1 means it's short for population. And the reference there is to the population report of a card,
How
meaning
many
how
were
many have been
under
graded at
any
that
given
grade.
grade.
So you can, this is all public information. You can go on PSA's website. You can type in any card, any player, find out exactly how many have been graded, how many are 10, 9, and all those numbers are directly connected to the value of the item, right?
yeah.
Because supply and demand, like
Yeah,
if
there's
I
only
have the
one.
only one, I mean, so like for example, I looked this up because I just got a Zion Silverback from Beckett, and it got a 9.5. I looked them up. There's 2,600 graded by Beckett.
Yeah.
There are only 3 10s, and there's
Wow.
no black labels yet. So
Only 3
think
10s.
about that: 3 10s, no black labels. So if you have
The
a black
10s are
label,
astronomical.
so the 310, and there's literally like 1,000 9.5s or
Right.
1,200, I
Right,
think.
right.
So like about half of the total.
9.5
Yep.
is standard.
Standard.
10 is the
10 you need
premium.
3 sub 10s. Black
I
label
just
you
thought
need
it
4.
was funny you're telling us this, and I don't know if you had a card on you like this or what, but you're like,
Oh, I showed
yeah,
you a photo
just-
of one.
All right, you
I
just
showed you a photo of a
you-
Michael Jordan 101.
Yeah.
They got the autograph authenticated.
So you're like, oh yeah, and then you make the autograph, and then it's a 10. I go,
Yep.
wow, that's devious. And then like 30 seconds later, you're like, yeah, and it's population 1. I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me! Like you're double dipping on the crazy.
So, and the reference to that is, and unfortunately, sometimes a novice collector
Yeah.
could make this mistake where they look up a Joe Montana rookie, and this thing's signed,
and it's a 101.
and it's a
Or
PSA,
top one.
it's a PSA 10. And they think, well, PSA 10 Montana rookies sell for
Yeah.
30,000. This
and
thing,
this one's autographed.
and this one's autographed. This thing must be worth more. So we actually sold an autographed Montana rookie our first 3 months in business.
Yeah.
and it was a PSA 10 autograph
Right.
only, not the card grade.
Right.
The card would have been like a 4 or 5.
Oh, you're the four.
And just regular authenticated autos at the time were selling for like 100, and I think we got 400 or 500
yeah.
with the auto
That's
being
a
a
big
10.
bump,
So
yeah.
you want to get the auto graded when it's in good
So
condition.
let's go to wrap it up. So right before we started taping, a customer was in here, and we were talking about grading, and he talked about using a black light. I had never heard of it. You had heard of it. What's the black light good for on a card?
So if you've ever been to a dance party,
No.
7th grade,
I don't get
disco
invited
ball,
to stuff.
black light, you never did that? You can
No, girl
so
didn't
everything
like
sho-
me,
everything
and,
everything
you know,
shows up on your clothing. You can see all sorts of like
dandruff. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. Yep. And
This is why I
so,
didn't get invited
so,
to parties.
so black lights allow you to see if chemicals have been used. You can also see
So
aspects
what did it look
to,
like if a chemical had been used? Is it just
you're
kinda
gonna
weird?
you're gonna see a color variation, a clear color distinction between, like, for example, if a color, like we just had that Jordan that got colored.
Yeah.
If I would have seen that in black light, you would have seen a massive color difference
Oh.
with it you don't see to the naked eye.
Okay.
Because the two chemicals, there's going to be a break
It
between
makes
them.
it might be like
And-
there'd be a border to
So
it.
you've never seen like a black light where like you smile and your teeth are like crazy
Yeah.
bright white?
That
Like
makes sense.
so different things respond differently.
Would you see? What did the customers say? Would you see more pitting?
I think you see surface better. You see
Surface better.
because
okay.
right now on a surface you're seeing that the reflection of the light in a way
Yeah.
you don't see there with a black light.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
I think it's
something I didn't know about.
I know some guys I think who have referenced using them. I also know one thing that's become really popular is like a scanner that gives you like 100-time
Yeah, then
magnification.
you can look at
so you
everything.
scan your card, and then you actually zoom in on your computer onto the surface, and you're looking.
And you can measure a lot easier because it's not like a third of an inch or a quarter of an inch. It's
Right,
like
it's
an
zoomed
inch
in.
versus an inch.
Yes, you're actually
and then one's
scaling
an
it
inch
bigger.
and one's like 9/10 of an inch. You're like, oh, okay, that's off-centered.
Yes.
And you could even argue what the percentage is at that
And
point.
actually, that's a good point for those of you guys buying cards raw on eBay to grade. One of the benefits from buying from someone who uses a high-resolution photo
Right.
is it gives you the ability to zoom in,
And
in
it's
a way,
flat.
and it's flat.
Well, I don't scan my cards. I take pictures of my cards.
Yep.
So all my cards are kind of at an angle.
Sure.
So on my eBay listing, I'm not a great seller in terms of going like, oh, I can tell how centered this card is.
Sure.
That's not really a thing.
Right. Yeah, so, and I want to come back to the basketball for 1 second. One other guy, I was listening to Sports Card Investor, and they were talking about the 5 players whose prices have increased the most
Yeah.
in the last 7 days. And one of the guys was a huge shocker to me.
One of them was Aiden.
Wendell Carter Jr. for
Oh, wow.
the Bulls. And I think Zach LaVine is going to benefit from that. I think there's excitement around the Bulls. I don't think they're going to be that good
Well,
personally.
Kobe White.
But Kobe White specifically is the big scoring threat. And then Wendell Carter Jr. is a big
And
man.
Levine's fun to watch.
LaVine's a big-time dunker.
Marketing.
And Laurie Markkinen, actually, we just shipped
Oh,
some lots of him.
yeah.
So I think the Bulls, if they're healthy, they're in the right market and they're in
So
the East.
you're not necessarily arguing that they're going to be this great team that can go to finals. You're arguing there's a lot of buzz around the Bulls.
There's a lot of buzz
and
around
if
the
you're
Bulls.
looking to maybe move the Bulls, now
Yes.
might be a good time.
Yes, I think, and Wendell Carter Jr., I think in my Prism box of guys I'm stashing, I have them just stashed.
Yeah, I have
and
them
if they
stashed,
become a
too.
$20 card,
Yeah.
sweet, or I don't even know, they might already be 20. His silvers might be
I know I have a
50,
few in
60. So,
Okay,
and
that's
he
good
might be
tip.
a guy, you know what I'm excited for, John?
Well, you just mentioned 5 guys that I got to go look at my stash box.
and you know what I'm excited for, John? I'm glad you're listening to this podcast. So
Oh,
you
thank
can
you.
get that insight.
No, hey, Clint, I just got to tell you, this is a wonderful podcast, and I'm going to subscribe.
Are you going to subscribe?
Yeah, I'm going to subscribe
Click
to it, and
down
I'm gonna listen
below.
every time.
Subscribe. Yeah, well, we're excited. 2 weeks from the NBA season kicking off, which is another whole season of sports cards moving
Right.
at a rate they don't move in the offseason.
And let's be clear, baseball started gearing up in February. We're not that far away.
And Bowman Draft is out this week. So
Bowman
we got,
draft, yep.
And there's some big-time prospects.
Yeah,
We're talking
we talked about this before. I go, he goes, how much you getting? I'm like, I'm getting 1. And he's like, oh, a jumbo? I'm like, well, one of the jumbos, there's no hobby.
I know, it's jumbo or super jumbo.
So it's like they're really conforming products just to cater to those breakers.
Yeah.
so that they don't have to open as many packs. I don't like it. Like I like my
The super
$100
jumbos are
box.
like those packs where they're actually connected in the middle. It's like one long pack.
Oh, are
You know what
they?
I'm talking about? Yeah, they're huge. They're like
No, I've
two.
never-
They're two jumbo packs. They're connected essentially.
Oh, it's like a cello pack.
But today
like old
we
school
actually,
cello
for
pack.
those of you guys who are baseball guys, you probably know more about them than I do. But today a guy pulled out a Prism at the shop, a Spencer Torkelson
Oh, nice.
short print auto, and I guess he's the big.
Yeah, he's number one
chase.
pick.
He's number one pick. So, there'll be some buzz around baseball, like you said. And
Yeah.
Series 1 is only a month and a half out
Right.
or something
yeah,
like that. Series
February, early February.
So I mean,
February
we'll be,
5th or
we'll,
something like
and
that.
that's obviously the flagship for the year of baseball. So
Well,
it's,
I got one last thing to say, just because I said February
Yeah.
5th. So I made my biggest order so far. Now, it'll be my biggest order because I will get a lot of it.
yeah,
February 13th, I want to say, Pokemon announced. People don't know if this is the 25th anniversary set or not, but people are treating it that way. It's called Shining Faith.
Shining Faith.
I ordered 100 of every SKU. There's 6 different SKUs. It's what's called a holiday set. So it's not a main issue set, but holiday
Yep.
sets tend to be more profitable or more popular
Okay.
than what's called Evergreen, where you can usually just keep reordering. And so I was like, I got to make sure I order more than my allocation, because if I get 100 of something, I'm going to be mad. 'Cause
Yeah.
That means I could have got more.
Right.
Right. And so this is already selling like 2.5 times MSRP
Wow.
on the secondary market. But, there's a lot of questions to whether that's going to last. I think this is one of those products that's going to start out high
Yeah.
and then settle, whereas in Pokemon, from what I can tell, usually starts low and raises the closer to release day.
Wow.
Could be wrong, though. It's going to be a massive, massive set. You need to order as much as you can so I can buy some off of you
Sounds
when I
good.
run out.
Till next week, guys.
Thanks for listening.